Hello. Howdy. How are you today? Welcome to PP Game. Paperwork Pantheon, episode 50, question Q&A and recap episode. How are we all doing here today? I was kind of just editing the live scenes, and then I forgot that you guys can see what I'm editing because the stream wasn't over. Complete mental lapse in judgment. But hello, how are we doing all today? Today's a very fun episode. It's a good time. Every 50 episodes I try and do a recap episode. The rest of the party should be getting in here soon. I think we actually have a full cast today. It'll be a good old time. But today is just about making sure that if you are somebody who has been trying to get your friends into the show, or has been trying to get anybody really into the show, and have been trying to get people to watch it, to enjoy it with you, well, now's your chance. Because guess what? This is the purpose of the recap episode. The point of it is to make sure that you can show this to your friends and be like, hey, watch this D&D stream that I really like. It's really fun and it's cool. And you don't have to watch 50 fucking episodes in order to be caught up in the plot. You can just watch this one episode. And it's good. It's a good time. And also, if you got questions about the plot, about things that have happened, this is the time to ask them. Now is the time to partake in consuming this. Where's my goddamn beach episode? Everyone always asks about the goddamn beach episode. Everyone wants to know where it is. When is it coming? When's it arriving? And to that I say, do you ask Luffy where the One Piece is? Do you ask Monkey D. Luffy, when's the One Piece? When's the One Piece happening? Huh? I don't know if I would personally ask Monkey D. Luffy where the One Piece was. You can assume that it's coming, but where it is it as important? Is it that important? We'll never know, will we? We never will know, will we? So the where is the goddamn beach episode? It's where it needs to be. The future. Okay, but is Alistair hot? That really depends. 500 episodes for this show. Hijinks Incorporated. That's why you're the GOAT. That's why you're the GOAT. Is Alistair hot? What do you think of dads? I guess is the question. Hey, Pat. I cannot hear. There you
I
are.
have been listening to you rant about. Hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah. Your
Okay.
audio was just behind your voice for a bit. Okay.
Oh, that's very odd.
Yeah.
I've been listening to you rant about the One Piece for I don't know. Let's say 3 minutes.
I'm sorry. You coulda just sent a message. I feel like I was being spied upon.
As soon as I got here, I sent a message.
It just showed up. As soon as I let you in, that's when it showed up on my screen. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. It's very good. Yeah, the beach episode is in a pocket universe. We have yet to be able to access it. We are making progress.
Mm-hmm.
That is at
happening.
least my perspective on it. Yeah.
What?
Oh, it'll happen.
There will be one.
Absolutely. Oh, for sure.
It's just where it needs to be. When it needs to be. What
I
level
couldn't
are the
agree
current
more.
cast members or power level, since this is not D&D 5e?
Gee, that's a great fucking question. I have no idea, to be fair.
I do have the exact answer. You guys are effectively level 23s. Power level power level is 20 plus. What's important to remember about D&D is that anything above level 11 is you can break the world as soon as you want to.
It's about right.
So they are 20 plus is the best way to put it. They could kill things with a thought. They're super strong. It would take 6 seconds for them to end an apocalypse level event. So on and so forth. That is what I would say.
I would tend to agree, because I think, especially with D&D, the reason that we started this campaign, at least from my perspective, at level 20, with no other bonuses whatsoever, just things that you would have by level 20, you know, ancient artifacts, magical weapons, rare item, what is it, like super rare items, etc.
Yeah.
Is because by that point in a normal campaign, you are effectively demigods. It is incredibly difficult to kill you, and it is very easy for you to kill everything else. Like, I think a party of 4 level 20s would take a single round or less to kill a Tarrasque.
Significantly less. You could have each individual member kill a Tarrasque.
Kill a Tarrasque. Like, all right, I've got that one. Yeah. You get the other 5. We're good.
Yeah. Like, it's level 20 it's my favorite level to play at and DM for, because it's so high stakes. But I have to, on the back end, give every single D&D creature, I wouldn't even call it roids, I would call it space drugs. They're getting motherfucking Dune spice in order to be able to handle you guys.
That's about right. That is 100% about right. That, I mean, like, you've done an excellent job as far as crafting things that will put the fear of God into our hearts. There have been several times where there has been a question in my mind as to, are we going to survive this?
What cool looking stream wish I could join? Brooke, oh my god.
Hello!
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh, it's a bait and switch!
It's me all along!
I was about to be like, you could have said that so less sassy, but I'm not allowed to sass Amelia.
I don't think you could if you wanted to.
No,
I think you would just
not
give
allowed
it back
to.
to
They're visiting each other in Australia.
In Australia.
Here, and I'm not going to make the mistake of pulling
Okay,
my
so
headphones off again.
here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump in the call on my phone, but don't add my phone to here, so I can hear you through my headphones, and then Brooke can hear you, and then we'll have this one mic.
You're both coming through there, yeah.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
I did not want to explain all of that, like, in the text.
No,
Valid. Brooklyn Tuesday, what is your IRL perception modifier?
Depends on the topic. It's either really high or really low.
If I was to, what's your passive perception? Let's say that.
I don't know.
If I was to walk past you, would you clock me as Offbeat Outlaw, your friend, or would you clock me as a random white man?
Ooh, I don't think I would notice.
Okay, so we know that it can't be higher than a 15. Can't be higher
Yeah.
than 15. It is hard to tell, so like I can give you at least a +5.
You know what? I think my insight is high, but my perception might not be as high.
Mine are both low. I need special items in order to see shit.
Yeah,
I was just about to say, is like, what happens if you are legally blind and need contacts or glasses?
Yeah.
That's a 6. That's a 6.
I
You have a
just-
6 in wisdom. Yeah.
I just don't pay attention. Like, but it's almost an active choice.
What classes and skills does Alistair have?
All of them.
Whatever he
Yeah.
fucking wants, man. Whatever he deems worthy for the situation.
I do makeup.
Oh, I suppose I should.
So they're not the same person? Damn, I lost a bet. Oh my god, Amelia and Brooke. You are not the
I
same
know.
person.
We have
I
a
know.
very similar resemblance.
Yeah. It's very easy to get us mixed up.
I agree. I would probably get confused if I saw the both of you in the same room. I would wait to see which. I would make here's how I would tell. I'd make a statement, and whoever disagrees with me first would be Brooklyn. That
Yeah.
That's about right.
But I would be correct.
Hey, I never said what the quality of my statement would be. I just said I'd make one. Hey, look, guys, we found Brooklyn. This is basically everyone. We need to start doing the recap sort of shit.
Sure.
I mean, I would like Danny to be here because I too would like him to partake in the recap, but you know, we gotta get going because I don't.
Ether.
Yeah, I don't want these. I don't like it when these episodes take too long. So the point of this is to. But now that we're all met, hi, my name is Offbeat Outlaw. You can find me on YouTube where I are right now. And please, if you enjoy this series, where I are right now, if you enjoy this series, if you enjoy my content as a whole, please join the Patreon. The Patreon is only $3 a month. It gives you access to all of my videos 24 hours early, and also it supports me in continuing to make content that you enjoy. So if you value this series, value it with your wallet. You're welcome.
Capitalism.
Capitalism, baby.
Look, we're living in it. We, at the moment, need it to survive. We can hate it all we want while we still have to thrive.
Mm-hmm. That rhymed.
That
Good job.
was not intentional, I promise.
I fully thought you were quoting song lyrics.
Nope. That was just...
Make it short. You should make an album.
If you
Album
use them
when?
with song lyrics, I want partial writing credit.
Pat, introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I am that great gentleman everywhere on the internet. My actual name is Patrick Keefe, and we're working on moving that great gentleman to just sort of the back end of things. But yeah, I do a lot of like TTRPG content and stuff like that. If you want to support me, go to my link tree. I'm sure it's in the chat. I'm all over the place.
Excellent. Brooke.
Hello, my name is Brooklyn Tuesday. You can find me here in Australia, but don't do that because that would be creepy. But Amelia did it.
Creepy.
I'm about to say, oop.
and I oop.
You can
Brooke
also find Amelia in Australia.
Brooke did
But
not
also
give
don't do
Amelia
that.
their address. Amelia just found them.
Yeah, I could just
They
like
just
divine
showed up.
my way with like rods.
Yeah.
the sticks.
It was a little weird when I got home and they were just like sitting on my bed patting my cats. Also, you're not taking them. Amelia has been sending the group chat a million different videos and pictures of my cats.
Mm-hmm.
Mine.
For now.
That's pretty insidious, Amelia.
I mean,
how about you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Amelia Som. You can find me most places online at Amelia Som or by going to links.ameliasom.com. I have an echo of myself in my ear, and it is very hard to say words right now.
Oh.
But, yeah, and I'm about to own 2 cats.
I mean, Brooke, here's an easy solution. Amelia owns your cats, but then you just keep Amelia in Australia.
This was my solution as well.
I was thinking I bring the cats back with me, and then Brooke follows the cats.
Oh, okay. That is, I mean, it would make that trip significantly easier on you, Brooke.
I mean, if you're the one who wants to cover the cost of bringing them to overseas, be my guest, because that's just expensive.
It will be expensive.
It will be
It will be very expensive.
But this officially marks the end of the trademark cold open. We should probably get into the actual meat and potatoes of what we're doing today because, like I said, I don't want to take too long.
What is the actual meat and potatoes of today? Because I see the description of the stream.
Today we're going through like the whole all previous 49 episodes. The content of them, not each individual episode because you guys fuck around a lot. But we're going through what you guys did, what happened, each event, each thing, each important thing that happened, so that if, say, your name is shout out to Earl Grey Skeleton, and you have friends and wanted them to get involved too in this show, in watching it with you, boy howdy, just tell them to watch this episode, and then they can know the plot, and then they can join in on all the goofs and gaffs. And I need all of you here because my memory remembers a lot of things, but not everything.
Yeah, literally, I thought I had like a course on today for work that I had to go to, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to make it today. It turns out I got the date wrong, but I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to make it today. And you were like,
please,
Brooke, I'm going to reschedule because you're the only other person who's been here every time.
Yeah. I was like, I'm banking on you being here. You cannot avoid this. And you're like,
I was
what
like,
if,
I don't
what
wanna
if
do
someone
it
else
at
does
every
it? And I'm like,
episode. I remember what happened, and you were like, I need this. And I
I
was
need
like,
this.
okay. Oh, fair enough.
so,
PP game speedrun. Yes.
yeah, this is the PB game speedrun. It's like the One Piece speedrun. So, way back when, over a year ago, this series started. And we were introduced to 4 characters, 4 mortals. Viari, a warlock of the god of order, a bit of a sneak, a bit of a trickster, a bit of a propagandist. Aze, a tinkerer, a clever Eladrin, who with a very complicated relationship with someone. We had Theta. What is your character's race?
Changeling.
Your changeling.
It was just funny because for a long time, Theta's mostly just Theta.
Yeah, Theta's
Right.
Yeah.
There have been quite a in the beginning there were a lot more circumstances where being a changeling came
Was
into
valuable.
in handy when we were trying to blend in, and then as things have sort of progressed, that has become less so the case, mainly because half of the people that we'd be trying to blend in with would be able to tell immediately.
Yeah.
At high level, blending in becomes hard because I'm throwing things at you like true seeing orbs and people with bullshit, because I can't have you guys just turning invisible and cheesing the encounter.
That's literally the entire point of my character sheet. This hurts my soul.
It's so funny though because at no point in this game has Ace ever done a disguise.
I feel that. So,
Like you guys are all disguised and then Ace is there.
Offbeat
Yep.
literally told me at one point that the second arc, the mechanics had to be designed around countering my sheet specifically.
It
and I was like, but why?
Because if I don't
so
deal with you,
fun.
you create a simulacrum army, and there goes the dramatic tension.
Oh my god.
Look at it go! It's flying out the window right now with 100 million simulacrums.
We did destroy Pain
They all have fly,
pretty
too,
easily.
so.
Yeah.
And they're all dragons, and
So-
then they're all simulacrum inside the dragons, and
Yeah,
then
they're
they're inside
all
another
nested.
That
dragon
was
after
because
that.
Offbeat did give me the
I-
true polyball.
Yeah, I
We
gave you the
Matushka'd
tool,
ourselves.
and then I said, "Oh, but I gave you the cool thing. I gave you a gun, and then I said you get 1 bullet though. You don't shoot the planet." Is PP Game a prequel to Seventh Seas? Think of it as an alternate universe with similar characters. As for, but in that anyway, the first arc happened. And yes, I do counter people-specific sheets because you have to. This is my stance on this matter. You cannot convince me otherwise. In the first arc, the mortal gods met with Alistair, met with the Through. They signed away some of their rights to be mortals in order to become and ascend as gods. They are known as collectively the mortal gods. Mortal gods are allowed specific privileges that real gods are not. Full gods cannot interfere on the mortal plane directly unless they are summoned very specifically. Mortal gods are still mortals and can do whatever the fuck they want, more or less. However, this does affect changes with how people perceive their domain, as well as how they perceive their actions and whatnot. After being anointed, the God of Truth was a huge bastard, the whole time to Viari.
Yeah.
Stoking a years-long rivalry. They designed their domains, and eventually they were sent down to the mortal plane, their home plane. And they came to a city. The city of Poop and Vinegar. I cannot remember the name of the city.
I also can't remember the name.
I don't think it was called that though.
So it wasn't called Poop and Vinegar? Are you
I feel
sure?
like if it was, we would all remember that.
Yeah.
Do I need
I
to go
should-
get my notes?
I
Because
should
I'm
start
pretty sure I wrote it down.
Go grab your notes.
God damn it.
Like
You
I
guys
said,
take notes?
I
I
have
did not
notes.
bring any notes to Australia. I used to at the beginning, and then at some point I just kind of got.
Yeah, I tried like the first session and then went, oh.
Honestly, I feel like you can take some notes, but after a point, some details just aren't worth it. You gotta get rid of them to make room for more memories. You know?
Mhm.
Like, why would I remember the name of the city when I can instead remember the fact, I don't know, I can't even get a good reference right now. There's too many memories in place. Too many good memories.
God same.
Yeah, I bet that's the issue.
Either way, unnamed city, Sun Cult City. The party arrives. Their job there is to uncover the problem with the sun cult, with the sun. There's something happening in the city where people used to worship the sun, but now it's being corrupted by something. So they infiltrate the city, and the first person they talked to was a Chipotle vendor. The infamous Chipotle vendor.
Believe that it was a Chipotle vendor. Thank you very much.
So true, bestie.
Be accurate.
So true, bestie. The Chipotle vendor, they spoke to them, and Viari used their mental link to connect with them. This thus making one of the key moments in the campaign, I think. I think this moment really defined a lot about the campaign, and I love this moment. This, unbeknownst to the party at this time, this whole city was infested with a character named Z's.
Our whole lives are infested with a character named Z.
It's a bad rash.
Go.
He comes up and flares every once in a while. Z's had made simulacrum of himself and had replaced about anywhere from 20 to 80% of the citizenship with these simulacrums. And Viari had the misfortune of mind linking with one of them, alerting. And Z's, just being a silly, goofy guy, played a prank on the party, called the guard over, and caused a bit of a ruckus, claiming that Viari was a witch. Wait, does the way they can determine their
sun god darkness thing?
Oh yeah, and then you went into the. Did you cast darkness, or did I stop you?
I cast darkness.
Oh yeah, you went into the sun god's temple and cast darkness, and everyone was like, "Witch!"
No, we were dragged into the sun god's temple.
The sun god's temple, which we learned anyone can go into for free.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've been getting my religious education.
This is how it started. Brooke was like, Brooke kept on asking the Chipotle guy, like, so how do we get into the church? And he was like, you walk in. And Brooke was like, no, but how do you get in? And he's like, the front door. Lots of.
I don't know how churches work.
I know. Brooke didn't. Now
shit should have opening hours. I don't know.
Now they are getting their education in Western church culture, I guess. Wait, question. Does the way they can determine their domains be based off the skills they have? Like less skills, not as cool domain type of thing? Okay, so I think what you're asking is, did we pick the domains of the characters based on the abilities of the characters that they were playing? And the answer is 50% sort of yes. It's like
the opposite, actually.
Somewhat, yeah. It's like it depends.
It varies a lot.
It depends on the person.
I know for me, we had played in Danny's home game together, and I was using a sheet that's effectively Viari's before it was Viari's. But Danny's home game went on hiatus. This is the old one. And I was like, I want to use that same sheet again for my character in your game because I love that sheet so much and I miss playing with it. And then you were like, what if you were the god of lies? Because you already knew that sheet was like full of deception and designed to be all tricksy and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how everyone else got theirs, but that was, my domain was Offbeat's idea.
Mm-hmm. A lot, like, for the thought process behind Brooke's was, I know Brooke really likes roleplay elements, as well as being like, I was like, this feels like Brooke will enjoy the intrigue, the espionage, as well as, I feel like, from my guesswork, I think to an extent, Brooke has enjoyed being seen as sort of the underdog of the mortal gods in some ways, and if there's anything I know about Brooke, Brooke loves proving people wrong, and I thought that would be a great arc for Brooke through the God of Lies. I think for Pat,
I don't remember how it came about.
I think how it came about was you described. Wait, you remember how this happened?
I remember because it was my idea. Okay.
Oh.
This is why you need to be here.
If I could tell this story, yes. The thing is, you know, before when you were like, what's your perception like? And I was like, it depends on the topic. The reason is because if you relate it to a story, I will remember it. Okay, so there's a few elements to this. Number one, early on, Pat and I were having the same kinds of ideas on vibes for characters. And so we had to sort of differentiate between these two like trickster god ideas. And you first came up with the God of Lies for me, but you didn't want to give either of us luck because luck was too big of a domain, and you thought that that was like kind of not good. So anyway, I had recently gotten Pat to read The Lies of Loch Lamora, and we were talking about potential domain ideas, and I said, I love the idea of the Crooked Warden in Lies of Loch Lamora, who is the god of like the forgotten and the like thieves and criminals and that sort of thing. And I said, you guys were talking, and I was like, what if he's like, I love like the romanticism of like that kind of thing, and like last chance, like this is your last shot or whatever. And then we latched onto this, and this second it all became like solidified was tying it into luck.
That's right.
That's how that came apart.
Because
that's right. This is why Theta's last name is Locke, because it was like in the beginnings of his character were so heavily inspired by Loch Lamora. That's so fun.
I remember because I remember one of the key things about this game was that everybody needed a godly parent of sorts with varying degrees of investment in each individual person. And I was like, this was in order to solidify like the lore and whatnot. And I was like, okay, last chances, luck, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's how that happened. And A's, how did we settle on you're the god of time, but you're like more the god of past, present, and future. You're a god of timekeeping.
The passage of time, isn't it?
I think I remember this one as well, but I'm not going to say if you remember.
No, I do not.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure with Ace, this is why you need to.
Brooke is the lore keeper.
Feel like,
that's how this works.
This is why I don't take notes. I usually can just trust that I'll remember when it's related to a story I'm invested in. Okay, so if I recall, you wanted to be related to fate and time. So, but Offbeat was like, fate is too big of a concept, time too big of a concept, and you were like talking about how you wanted your aspects, because we got told we would have 3 aspects, and we were like, I want past, present, future, and we were like, wait, that's based as fuck. And then
that sounds like me.
Yeah, and then Offbeat was like, you should be the god of time, and like we all got excited about this god of time thing, but then we were like, well, time is too big of a concept for now, because in the beginning our concepts had to be kind of limited. I wasn't allowed to be deception, I had to be lies, that kind of thing. And then you were like, eventually you might become the god of time, but like it has to be the passage of time because it's more specific and narrow.
Because there's supposed to be room for growth as the story progressed and whatnot. So
we were supposed to, initially you had talked about doing these character like check-ins, where our domains, like a domain check-in, where like our titles were checked at the end of every arc, and we just confirmed what we were still doing.
Real fast.
Yeah, well, because initially as well, Offbeat and I were talking about for Viari being very upset about being the god of lies and trying to get out of it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of discussion.
Other plot things happen.
Yeah, I know, and then we played the game and it didn't go that way, but it was, you know.
Just to let you guys know, this is a classic Brooke and Offbeat conversation. Is Brooke goes, I don't like this, and I'm like, I understand, but please just play the game, please. I trust.
I do.
You do. I'm just saying it's a classic moment. It's a real good time. But also, as you can see, Brooke is currently the working memory of Paperwork Pantheon, so this is why we couldn't do the recap episode without her.
The thing is, I am also the one who will get the most invested in a story. Like, this is just my personality, which is why early on, when we were first discussing the stories and dreams thing, I said something about wanting to, because we discussed early on about making my domain specifically hidden. We didn't want to tell anyone because it was going to be like a lie. And you worked it into the story as like being told by the past gods of lies, but in the beginning it was just going to be like Viari. The original concept was Viari did not want to be the god of lies because of the whole thing that happened with the duel, and the fact that Alistair, she thought it was initially a punishment because Alistair had like thrown it at her at the end of the duel and was like, you want lies so much, here, take it. And we both got attached to that idea. And so Viari was refusing to set up their domain, but also was like so tempted by the idea of having something that they had set up the infinite library. And I was like, can I have a section on stories and dreams? Because stories are just like the lies we tell ourselves to entertain ourselves, and then dreams are just the lies we tell ourselves when we sleep. But I just like stories and dreams, and I was trying to convince you, and you were like, oh, but I like that actually. And then it snowballed into what it is now.
Because like in this world, concepts have domains and have power and stuff, so every separate concept is its own section. So when Brooke went like, I want this and this, I went, not yet. Later. That's plot.
Yeah. I just wanted a section in my library because I liked the library idea. I was just attached to the library.
And Danny was one of our players dropped out of the game, and I just DM'd Danny on a whim, and I was like, my brother in Christ, I need your assistance.
This was like the day before the.
It was the day before the
game.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I was like,
because Daniel was initially not going to be in the game, not because we didn't want him in the game, but because he had said no, he wasn't able to make the scheduling work.
Right.
And then because he loves Offbeat so much, he changed the scheduling. That sounds like a dig or a joke or something, but this is like
true.
This is legit.
Genuinely what happened.
They are the best of friends.
I was like, brother,
I need
you. I need this. And he went, okay, I will agree if I can be a skeleton knight. And I said, done. You are a skeleton. And then that was that. And that's how Godfrey came about. And then
he was initially talking about playing a skeleton in our next game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then initially as well, like we were trying to decide on godly domains for him and stuff, and I was like, what about the God of Duels, because that's what the old player was, and he was like, nah.
Yeah.
And then I went, okay. I thought a bit, and I went, because I got a plan. I have a plan, and I needed the gods to fit into the plan, and I went, penance, and he went, cool, and then we settled on that. So like,
do you remember? No, because we were sitting there on Google searching up, we had an idea, and we were searching up on like different thesaurus words to try to find the perfect thing to capture the idea that we wanted, and then we found penance. I think I was present for all of these conversations.
I believe you were.
Yeah.
To be fair, you were the one who bullied me into participating.
Into what?
Into participating in the first place. Not that I didn't want to. Hear me out. Not that I didn't want to. But I was also like, I don't know if that's too much to take on for my schedule. Like, for me, every Friday night, like, is that a thing? And you were so persistent and so convincing in your argument that finally I relented. I was like, all right, fine, I'll get it.
Because initially, the way that this specific group came about was Offbeat, Danny and I were playing in Danny's home game, and Offbeat had already had the idea for this campaign, but didn't have a group of players or anything. And I love playing Warlocks. I was playing the same as the base sheet for Viari in Danny's campaign, and I was like, I love having to negotiate with gods. I love having to like fight higher powers and deal with that shit. Like, it's so fun. And this is also why I like Kalishtar, because they're in your head all the time. And then Offbeat was like, oh my god, I wish that you could meet Alistair, my god of contracts. And this was early days of our friendship. I didn't know you super duper well, so I thought you were asking me to play in like a one shot or something, because you were like, I want to run a game for you. And I was like, I would love for you to run a game for me. I want to see what everyone keeps talking about with regards to your combat. And then it just sort of snowballed, and I did not realize at the time that I was committing to a campaign. But then as the idea came up, I was like, this is so fucking cool. I'm so excited for this game. And then you said to me, because you started playing in my game, and we had the conversation about, I really value and look for making a table be super dynamic and everyone at the table wanting to sing. I'm very careful about my pet player selection. Not in that there are friends that I don't like or anything. It's that which friends of mine will work the best together in this style of story. And I'm very particular about that. And because you started playing in my game and you realized, you basically were like, oh, I get it now. I get what you do. And then you were like, can you put together the table for PP game? And so I was like, fuck yes, I can. And this is where we are.
Yeah. So what we're saying is Brooke liked us enough to have us.
Yeah, Brooke helped bring this
That's
all
only
together.
a half joke.
Yeah,
I had to like, the reason why I've been here every single time is because I had to schedule, you guys scheduled around me to begin with so that I could make games.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I need to make sure that I am here all the time. Like, this needs to be a priority. And also, I love this game. Like, I'm not going to not make it a priority. But it was very important to me to make it a priority when I was the reason that half of the behind the, like, I was pushing for it so hard. I was like, please, I just wanted a one shot.
How long were you planning the Gary plot twist for? Remember when Gary approached Viari and said, "I need your help"? There, that's as soon as it started, it was in the planning.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Why would you do that to me?
Giggles. I don't know. Serve the plot. It was a good moment. It was a great moment, and I needed that to serve the plot. So.
I'm so annoyed at you for that one.
Valid. But back to the recap of this, all of this.
So we're still on the first episode.
We're still.
We are still on the first episode.
No, we're on episode
I went
3.
to try and find my notebook for like 5 minutes.
We're on
Couldn't find
episode
it.
3.
Might have left it at Gen Con.
We're on episode 3.
We covered character creation.
Yeah, you guys went
That's
to.
still before the...
No, the first episode was us becoming gods and then being told to go do the fight. And then the second episode was the first fight.
Yeah, and then you guys met Chipotle Guy. Chipotle Guy was actually Z's. You guys went inside the temple. Viari cast darkness inside of a temple. Inside of the Temple of the Sun, and everyone freaked the fuck out, and you all tricked everybody to being like, trust me, that witch went that way, and they all did.
Yeah.
We told them that the witch turned Godfrey into a skeleton.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you did. She turned. It's so silly. At this time. The way how I do plot in this game, or at least how I do arcs, is I set up, basically I like to think of it as setting up a very intricate house of cards. And I give them a goal, like a little marble that's in the center of the house of cards. And I tell them, get the marble. That was the initial planning for this one, was I need you guys to clear Truth's name and uncover the mystery. Very broad goal. So how they decided to do that, I was expecting some espionage. I was expecting some propaganda. I was expecting what I did not expect was the following. At around episode 5 or 7, one of the greatest moments of my DMing career happened. One of the most, this is why I love level 20. You can only do this at level 20. The party realized very swiftly that the economy is very weighted. And they needed to stifle all of the simulacrum of Z's of their resources and their spell components. So, Godfried, Danny, in a moment of brilliance, the likes of which we may never see again, goes, Viari can make an infinite number of themselves in a single round. We need to make 20,000 Viaris. 10,000 of them will be excavating the sand in bulk in the desert in order to uncover precious gemstones. They will then sell them in the markets at an inflated price in order to steal money away from the main city and bring them into the main and bring it outside of that. They will then use the money to buy up all of the spell components, generating cash flow, but stealing all the spell components away from Z's. And slowly but surely they'll create a spell component shortage so that Z's will be out of resources and unable to stop them. And this plan, I sat there with my head in my hands. I think after that I said,
for like a good solid 5 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah.
It was just silence.
Yeah, because Danny had single-handedly crashed the economy. I figured out a way to crash the economy in this place. And I sat there going, that's not what I would have done, but okay. Guess we're doing that.
I hate that it works, but it works. Fuck.
And so they went through a series of events setting this up. There was a whole plan of having refugees, of the VR posing as refugees outside of the main city in order to create a sort of market. They went and spoke to a wealthy gemstone baron, Adamus.
That's right.
Yeah, this is
That's where he came from.
Godfrey posed as a fellow gemstone baron, and they got along swimmingly. Actual Z's, had been posing as this guy's son for the last 30 years, and that created a lot of drama. At one point, Z's and Viari were walking away with each other, posing as like being the assistants to Godfrey and Adamus, and Z said some very harsh words that we shouldn't repeat on a family channel.
It was so mean.
In Z's defense, he thought it was hilarious.
That's not a defense. He's just an asshole.
Yeah. I don't mean that genuinely. I'm just saying. In his mind,
That's just his sense of humor.
He's just quirky like that.
He's just really quirky.
Yeah. And
guys, you just don't get it. That's just his sense of humor.
Zeke, I don't think Adamus actually had a real son. Right?
It's entirely possible. That is truly
Z's was
entirely
adopted,
possible
wasn't he?
with the-
Yeah, I think Z's was.
Oh
there.
my god, are we gonna see a
That's
Z's and
not-
Adamus reunion ever?
very soon.
That's so funny.
Right.
You guys crashed the economy, and then after a lot of farting around, some luck fights, you guys started taking on and started the assault on the main church. That's the main things that happened. You
We
guys
also saved a bunch of people.
yes,
from
the
being
basement.
used as batteries.
Yes.
Yeah.
As you guys examined this place, you guys had a meeting with the main church leader for a bit, and you guys discovered that you were fighting the Chaos God of Pain. After some,
And A's and Z's fucked.
I'm glad that is a part of the important events recap of the.
No. For future context, that is incredibly important. I feel.
Z's and A's fucking has been a very has caused a lot of issues in the party.
And honestly, probably just the world in general.
It's
and
not
the
the
universe.
fucking that's the problem. It's the letting Z's get away with being a
Oh no.
fuckhead.
Yeah,
Here
the
we go
consequences
again.
of the fucking is the problem. It's the aftermath.
So, I missed the luck fights. Well, they've been in the Feywild. Luck didn't know where they were. After a while, after you guys checked around and examined the church, you found a way to infiltrate the basement. And in the basement was a bunch of people. They were near unconscious at level 1, and they were all cursed. This is where we were first introduced to the concept of curses in the game. Curses are the opposite of contracts, and they're made by big bad Queen Beatrice. And
Who's definitely hot.
who everyone has
very hot.
headcanoned as hot, and I'm not gonna ruin it for him. That's me saying
He's
that
very sexy to me.
I will make her. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tell Lexi to draw Queen Beatrice, and then that'll just be this. I'll be like, look, she's hot. This is what she looks like.
I will say, whenever I picture Beatrice, I do picture Elish Norn.
Kind of Elish Norn, kind of Morticia mixed with Elish Norn.
I don't know who.
Oh god damn it, that is hot.
Right now, it kind of changes every time, but I'm picturing, the hat that made Bowser into a hot girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That tracks.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which in some way is Morticia mixed with Elish.
I also picture her as Malfina from Connecticut Clark.
I don't know any of these references.
Elish Norn you
though.
definitely know.
Do you not know Morticia Adams?
Clark is so
Oh, I know
long.
Morticia Adams.
Okay.
God damn it, Amelia. Why do you... Anyway, sorry.
Yeah,
I
so-
don't mean to.
It's a specific Tumblr comic from a decade plus.
Oh.
I hate it.
Of
Anyway.
the third happiest man in Connecticut.
The basement was filled with bodies cursed by Queen Beatrice to suffer eternal pain. Never die, but be perpetually suffering.
So hot.
So hot. And there were 1,000 total. with the second largest health pool being 700 from the number 2 Warlock of Truth. Actually, now that I think about it, I've been planning Gary's betrayal since that, honestly. That was the moment that I seeded that.
Really?
Yeah. I did. Because there's been shit that happened between them. We don't get to know though, cause
I'll just bring him back.
who the guy?
Yeah.
You have to go venture into the land of the dead. You have to go to the soup.
Oh my god, we can't do that. We gotta move the plot forward. I swear to
We have to
fucking
keep
god.
talking. We have to keep going.
You guys. So after you guys freed everybody, sent them to Alistair to receive medical attention. The fight began with the Chaos God of Pain. It was a terrifying fight. You guys did your best. You killed them, and you freed the land from the God of Pain and disease. After this, you guys made some magic items, took apart the God of Pain, and Theta did something very specific. He took a tooth of a weapon from the God of Pain and fashioned it into a blade using some magic. Found someone who was downtrodden, a young girl, gave it to her and said, "Do something with this."
And a young girl also named Beatrice.
Named Beatrice.
Funny
I
how that
forgot
worked.
about that.
Yeah.
That her original name was Beatrice.
Yeah.
And then
Hilarity ensued.
hilarity
Oh, yeah,
ensued.
so fun. So
They
funny.
disappeared for a bit. A stayed behind to help the place rebuild. But the rest of the gods disappeared. At this time, though, Theta did say check up on the girl, and
My stepdaughter.
after about 2 years, the girl's now 8 years old. This sword she's a little bit obsessed with the sword. It's kind of built a gauntlet around her hand. It's not just a sword anymore. It's a sword and together.
I'll say it. It was red flag behavior.
That was red flag behavior. She was a little obsessed. She did not want to part with it at all. Az watches over her, and she goes, "I need to kill something. Can you come help me?" And Az is like, "Sure, that's a reasonable thing for 8-year-olds to want." And she goes,
Ace
"Eventually."
is like, yeah, this is what kids do, right? He
I
hasn't
forget
seen a
what-
human child in years.
Yeah.
What was I doing at the time? It was something important. Theta wasn't just like faffing about.
Here's what happened. You guys went up to the Pantheon
Right.
and accelerated time. You guys just said, because time works differently, you guys experienced accelerated time. 5 years would
Right,
pass in an
because
instant for you
A-
guys. Yeah.
Right.
So it's not like you were doing nothing, but like you have to live on a different time scale. Like
I went out for milk and cigarettes, and I came back in what I thought was a reasonable time. I
Yeah,
thought it was
Ace
5
isn't
minutes.
the stepdad. Ace
Turns
is the
out-
dad who stepped up.
It was several years.
Az touches the blade when little Beatrice is sleeping, and big bad Beatrice invades her mind and says, "Don't do that again. Cursed." And Az is owner to a new curse. Is the sword stuck to the left or right hand? The right hand. And so, after that, you kill the thing. After you killed this entity, Beatrice, little Beatrice, comes to realization and says that they need to go out on an adventure, just like Az. And so Az goes, "That sounds fine," with a question in her voice, and leaves. Flash forward. After some side quests, some dicking about,
I did forget Az was the stepdad that stepped up and then just spoiled the kid rotten and gave them everything they ever wanted with very little guidance.
Yeah, I was gonna get fucking cursed again. Actually, I'm still cursed. Ace is really good at collecting curses. That's like been a personal goal of mine for Ace. Doesn't have enough curses, frankly, as far as I'm concerned.
after some time on some side quests, Theta is... You were abducted, I believe. First time you met Eleanor, did you go to see Eleanor?
I was abducted.
No, I went to go see Eleanor that first time afterwards, and that I think she had already had the full
she'd already become
armor.
yeah.
And we had a discussion, and I did not handle it well.
Yeah.
I thought I was like, oh god, I don't know what this kid needs. So if she wants to hate me, I guess I'll let her hate me if that's giving her a direction and keeping her sane from the sword. Oh god.
So I think Theta sought out Eleanor after this, but he'd already committed to staying 5 years. And after those 5 years were done, he went and found her, and Eleanor had been completely consumed by the blade in a full clad of bone armor. If you've ever seen Berserk, it's the Berserk armor. That's what it looks like. And
was it at this point that we figured out
that she's a demigod?
Her parentage.
You guys...
No, that was when you first met her, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we found it. Yeah,
Because that's why Ace was like, "This is like my responsibility, actually,
Right.
because everything Z's does is my responsibility."
Yeah.
She
So
is Zeez's kid.
Zeez's direct kid, making her a unofficial demigod at the time. But when Theta went and saw her, she was officially anointed a demigod. Demigods in my game work a little bit differently. They're not just kids of gods. If you're just a kid of a god, you're just a powerful individual. You become a demigod when you're given your task. And your task is as insurmountable as the domain you will one day claim. The demigod that Eleanor was the demigod of consequences. And her job was to kill Theta. When they met, Beatrice at this time had been taking care of Eleanor for some time, and hated Theta. Absolutely hated Theta. Hated what Theta did. Hated just no good things. Every redeemable possible quality about Theta was taken in bad light. Theta left, fearing for his life, and that is how the demigod of consequences, Eleanor, was born. It is during this time as well that the party would soon go. They took another couple of years, waiting for the next event to happen, the next big moment when they'd be sent out into the world. And during this time, they went on a little bit of break to go and see the inauguration of the number 1 and number 2 God Hunters. It's important to note in my games that time is different. Time does not flow linearly. People can change their ages and grow rapidly, swiftly, slowly. And so they make it to the inauguration of number 1 and number 2 demigod God Hunters, and there is Alex, Gary's sister. Gary's younger sister, who was also on again, off again, friends with benefits for Viari. Partners, not exactly partners, but you know, they both enjoy making fun of Gary, so that's fun for them. Gary being Viari's longest time rival and friend, number 1 Warlock of Truth, leader of the Truth Commission. But Alex was number 1 God Hunter. But who else was number 1 God Hunter? Eleanor, a demigod, who was trying to hunt Theta. They went on a hunt together to hunt down a rampaging god of evil, I believe it was conflict, the god of conflict, who had made the earth and the trees fight each other.
Yes.
They killed him, brought him to justice, and so on.
We killed him, didn't we?
Yes, you guys landed the final blow. Because
okay, yeah.
if Eleanor did it, they'd go to God Hunter custody, and if you guys did it, then it would go to order custody. And if Eleanor got it, it would go to
trials.
And then you guys had your first introduction to a trial. A farce of a trial. Because I do theater trials. You know, the ones where you can just present evidence at random intervals as
Objection!
Objection!
The Phoenix Wright of trials.
The Phoenix Wright trials. They defended the land. They brought conquest to justice. And I believe at this point, you guys went and did some godly duties, and we discovered that Gottfried really loves doing his job. Nothing makes Gottfried happier than doling out punishments for
Is this when we discovered the most fucked up thing one person can do to another
Yeah,
person?
what the
ever?
fuck, Brooke? Why would you say that?
I would say it again.
Don't say it!
Daddy turned a guy into a boat. I don't know why putting someone's eyes in backwards and putting a light bulb in their head is worse than that.
Because it is. It's morally abhorrent.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. Even you saying it again now.
It's pretty funny. I stand by it.
It was pretty great. And then Arc 2 began. Arc 2 is what a ride Arc 2 was.
Is.
We're like Arc 2.5.
Well, yeah, Arc 1 was like, okay, here's a very like contained story, A to B, and then Arc 2 is just like, we're in the Feywild, we're in the material plane, we're back in the Pantheon.
I've just put a lot of pretty things in front of you, and you guys get distracted. That's that.
Yeah.
It's because you all have ADHD. It's not my fault. This ain't on me.
It is your fault. You know this about us, and you keep putting pretty things in front of us. You think that we're not going for a completionist run? We've got to go collect the rest of the bits of the robot thing. But please.
Oh yeah, there's still Alistair's death machine.
Fuck.
He told you
You
not
think
to
it
collect that. He said don't do it. Let it rot.
No, he said
When
it was
have
okay.
we ever? When have we ever listened to Alistair?
If you don't get 100% sync, we're not gonna get the little
We were
fill thing on
destroying
the
it.
Animus when we finish the game.
I think we were collecting it to destroy it, weren't we?
Oh, okay, right. Now I'm remembering.
I think we're trying to get it so other people didn't get to it first.
Yes.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Because Alistair was like, don't do that. And we're like, well, these guys are doing it, so.
And he's like, fuck. Okay, you guys go do that then. Right. I remember now. But Arc 2 is a great world. Mad Max World was what its working title was. A world rife with bandits and the government. A true struggle. Arc 2, ADHD. Yes, that's what it was. There were 6 different factions. 3 bandits, 3 governments. The government is more or less unified between the Ministry of Manufacturing, the Ministry of Space, and the Ministry of Finance. However, it is most likely that they have chaos gods lurking within there, as they all claim to be worshipping Alistair, and Alistair has yet to collect a single tax from them, which is bullshit. So, the mortal gods were sent down to the Bandits of Blood. Godfrey and the party were heralded as saviors, as they spilled enough of bandit blood to bring back one of their ancestors, Emily. And the Bandits of Blood are very particular.
Emily.
Yeah. Bandits of Blood, how they work is basically they try and die as fast as possible, because if they spill enough blood, their blood gets reincarnated as an ancestor who will continue to keep the knowledge of the world alive in order to avoid skill drain. If you manage to make it to 40, you no longer try to die. You become an elder, and the elders guide the next generation of hopeful deaths to their eventual doom. And they brought back Emily, one of the original founders, a strong lady. She is so strong and big. She's 10 feet tall and all muscle. Theta, what were those pretty eyes for?
Big woman.
Lord. And so Emily took a liking to them because they reincarnated them, and Godfried blew apart like 90 bandits with a shotgun. And she was like, that's sick as hell. You guys are awesome. And they worship Bloodshed, one of the gods of the order. They allied with
One
the
of
blood.
Godfried's moms.
Again,
Yeah,
Godfried's
yeah.
mom. Yeah. Godfried has 3 parents, a grandma, a mom, and a dad. None of them are related.
So right.
They allied with the Blood Bandits, and they talked to the Blood Bandits about their goals and their job as gods. And they went, that's rad as hell. We want to help you guys out because we love you and we love your gods, and you guys are gods. How do we do this? And we're like, we need to everyone get along. And they were like, everyone? And they were like, everyone. And they're like, and if we have to remove people to do it, that's fine. And they were like, that's awesome.
Occam's razor.
Occam's razor. Let's remove the government. And they said, bet. And one problem, though. The bandit factions were not united against the government. The bandit factions were divided into territories that warred with each other, that dealt with each other, that they just didn't like handling each other. So the mortal gods went on a diplomacy mission to the other bandit camps in order to unite them. They first went to the reconstructors, bandits, some really intelligent bandits who had managed to make vehicles and cars to traverse the very arid wastelands. They arrived, they made good friends with them, and they met the bandit leader, Argus. Argus, who has reworked his entire mental system into a robot. You forgot Fenrir? Oh, cool. Right. Fenrir was one of the ones who was punished. I'll get to Fenrir. We'll
circle back.
We'll circle back. When we meet Frankie. When we meet little Frankie, we'll talk about Fenrir.
Me and Godfrey's grandson.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of children. So you met Argus, one of the bandit leaders. Now Argus had turned himself into a building, made of metal, magic, and other M words. After investigating the Badlands for many years and fighting in a war previously, against with Alistair, it's unclear. He discovered one of Alistair's abilities written on a stone tablet, one of Alistair's ancient weapons of mass destruction. Embargo. Embargo is one of Alistair's more powerful abilities that prevents the spending of abilities. You cannot spend action points. You can't spend spells. It's brutal. It's a dick move, as it were. It's not supposed to be fair. He's omnipotent. But Argus had discovered it, and he'd worked it into bullets, magical bullets that he can shoot at people to prevent them, to endow the same condition upon them. They met with Argus, and Argus said, look, I can help the Blood Bandits, but here's the thing. We are currently dealing with the musicians. The musicians are the best riders of the Reconstructors' vehicles. By playing very good music and songs, they can drive their vehicles cool. So they went, look, if you can go to the musicians, if you can give us some of their best riders, we'll send them some of our best cars. And so they went to the musicians. At least not, actually, no, they didn't do that immediately. You guys farted around a bit more. Viari had discussed, you guys had another plan that you guys needed to do. You guys needed to infiltrate the Ministry of Space. I say farting around as if this wasn't incredibly important to do. Viari discovers a young kid by the name of Scrap. Scrap is a former bandit and is currently leading a bandit camp of other children who defected from the bandits, calling their ways stupid and old and boomer. So they set up their little bandit camp of children, and these children were all very smart and clever, and it's surprisingly enterprising, with Scrap being the leader. However, they were kids. They were like the oldest 15. Viari finds them, sees herself in these kids, and goes, all right, you're now all my children, but not. I'm gonna be more like the fun aunt babysitter. And making Scrap a warlock of lies. There she also meets Frankie. Frankie is a reconstructor defector who is the son of someone who was known on Plane as the Merchant of Death, whose name was Fenrir, another reconstructor. Flashback to when we met Fenrir for the first time. Godfrey was doling out punishments. He had arrived in Godfrey's domain, and the punishment that he needed to serve was somebody who had betrayed his own kin. And Godfrey went, oh, I know what to do with that. And then he checked the plane and realized that he was from the plane that they were going to next. And since Fenrir was going to have insider information, he decided his punishment would be to forever be chained to Godfrey's ribcage from the inside. So now Fenrir, Frankie's dad, is inside of Godfrey's ribs.
We're so normal about our punishments.
So normal.
So normal.
It's just the most normal.
Yeah. You guys go back on the home plane. You met Frankie, and Viari, realizing that things are a little bit out of her control, she's not really used to maybe dealing with 20-something children and teaching them the ways of infiltration. She realizes she needs help. She contacts her friend, her rival, her partner, her bestie, Gary. Gary complies, with albeit resistance, and begins a training regimen to help the kids be good at infiltration and espionage.
I love the message that said also A's was there, because I don't know like when specifically you're referring to, but so true, bestie.
So true.
A's was there.
A's was. After some training and some time, the children were all trained up and ready to infiltrate the Ministry of Space for the map. The map is an important object. You cannot navigate these extraplanar spaces inside the ministries without one, because if you don't have a map, you don't know where you're going, and you will just wind up in the wrong place. And so they begin their infiltration. They don't know which ministry has the map, but they know they need it. So they send out a bunch of kids to infiltrate the espionage mission. At some point in time, Gary approaches Viari and says, Viari, I need your help. I can't tell you why. I can't tell you what for. I need to become your warlock. And Viari, being the trusting, kind individual that they are, does not question anything and signs them on. Gary says, I need to kill the second warlock of truth. Viari once again says, okay, I can't do it now, but when I get the chance, I will help you because I trust you.
I hope he feels bad. I hope he hates himself and has trouble sleeping at night.
Yep. They infiltrate.
Mind you, we had a 500-year friendship.
Brooke is still obviously mad about this, as the betrayal is still very fresh. After the infiltration mission happens to varying degrees of success, they manage some of the kids defect and leave. Some of the kids...
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at the King Creepster thing. Yeah, Ace was being super cool about the camp.
Oh, yeah.
They thought Ace was a shit, because she is.
After the infiltration mission, some of it goes awry. Some of the kids don't... all the kids make it out, but some of them do defect. Well, not defect, they just leave because they realize that they're not cut out for it. C'est la vie. Once this happens, though, they do get the map. And they begin an infiltration mission into the Ministry of Space. Inside the Ministry of Space, they discover the thing that's creating the anti-magic fields. And there they also find a Warlock of Ignition, one of the Chaos Gods that they're fighting this arc. And the Warlock of Ignition was a brutal fight that nearly killed Theta. It was rough.
It was real bad.
But they managed to make it out. Scathed as hell, but they make it out. They replace the glyphs with their own glyphs, meaning that they can shut down the anti-magic fields whenever they want. They leave. And it's at this point in time, the party gathers together and realizes they still haven't talked to the musicians. Something happens. I think players are missing for a couple of weeks, so we dicked around for a bit. And at some point, Viari gets up.
They also disguised themselves as A's. Just want to throw out Theta being a changeling is useful.
I just forget.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I do. Viari gets abducted by Eleanor, asking for the location of Theta. Now, Viari genuinely does not know where Theta is at this point in time, and is like, I don't know. And then she goes, shit. Well, I guess I'm just gonna keep you here until I find it. Gottfried manages to make a successful 37 Arcana check, finds the location, and breaks Viari out of the demiplane.
This kid is so mean to Viari, and yet Viari is still patient with her.
She didn't kill you.
Yeah, well, I think for Viari, Viari is looking at Eleanor going, yeah, this is what Z's did to me. I get it. Your life got fucked up by gods and by people more powerful than you, like in such a big way. I have some more patience for you than like, because I was that kid when Z's did the thing with the jewel. I don't even think we've explained the jewel.
No, we haven't. We haven't
That
explained.
was like the catalyst for
gotten
the
to
entire
that, yeah.
We'll
story.
get to it.
We get to it. So, VR's broken out. At the same time, Theta and A's are busy going on a diplomatic. Are busy heading to the musicians. I think this happened earlier, but I got mixed up. They encounter some government workers. And the government workers, after some skill diplomacy and some shutting and some spells to make people go away and stop interrupting them, they get to talk to the chief of this little strike group, and they say, we're hunting a skeleton, someone who's a member of the Godfried line.
Can I just say, it was the smoothest line in the entire campaign when the guy's like, who's this? And then Amelia's just like, the solution.
These government workers are like, we're hunting this guy, he's a skeleton ruler, he's like an interdimensional leader, and like, we're not cut out for this shit. And A's and Theta are like, we'll take that bounty off your hands. And they're like, bet, awesome. And no, they do. And so then A's has the killer line of calling up the government, being like, we can solve your problem. You guys eventually though get to the musicians. You guys meet the musicians. You meet Bernard. Bernard doesn't like anyone. Instantly though does like A's.
I don't like Bernard.
I like Bernard.
I'm not a
Because
fan.
Bernard likes me.
I just don't like anyone who's even slightly rude to me for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, like, no one's rude to A's, you know?
It's crazy.
It's so much funnier, like, getting the stare in person instead of on the screen, because it's, like, personal. It's, like, directed.
Meets with Bernard, and Bernard lets the party know that there are Fey spirits on plane. Fey spirits being similar power to Fey gods, to gods themselves, but with a much smaller scope. And the party's like, we need to go check out the Feywild to figure out what Fey we're dealing with. And so Bernard is like, fuck, I just need to take you guys. I'm actually a member of a court there. And then they go to the Feywild. And
Also, A's collects another lieutenant ship.
yeah, she becomes Bernard's lieutenant. You guys do inform Argus of this information, that Bernard and Argus can now work together. You guys go to the Feywild. In the Feywild, you guys realize the court of the beetle is long dead, and Godfried is the next ruler. Awesome, great. In the meanwhile, Viari has done something silly. So silly and goofy. And you might be wondering, where's Theta in this arc? We'll get to it.
We'll get there.
Viari is a Kalashtar, and Scrap, her warlock, also has the same condition of that they both can't dream. So Viari goes, you know what? Fuck that. I'm a god now. I'm gonna make it so you can dream. And so she makes a space for Scrap to go when he goes to sleep. Unbeknownst to her, she accidentally steals the domain of dreams in doing so. From the Fae. And the Fae don't like that. Legal proceedings ensue, and that's part of the reason why they had to go to the Feywild. Because they needed to sort that mess out. They go to the Feywild, they go and meet with Lady Luna, leader of the Feywild.
Bestie.
Court of the Moth.
Boss lady.
Boss lady. And if you want to know what she looks like a big fucking moth. That's
Love that.
big fucking moth, man.
A death's head moth. Not the one you're thinking of.
I was gonna say a lunar moth. Personally.
Yeah, I know. That was the joke. Thank you.
Jesus Christ.
Viari gets shot.
And turns into a dragon.
We're retrofitting the story as we tell the recap.
Yeah, surprisingly, as she walks in the room, Viari just gets shot in his face with a gun.
Like a weird, like magic Fey gun misfires. I don't know.
Bang! No. But they do go in, and Big Moth Lady, they have a conversation, and she goes, yeah, you stole dreams from me. Order is not allowed to have any power here. And Alistair is also here. He's never been to the Feywild, but he finally is allowed to. So he shows up as a little bug. And so they make a deal in order to deal with this nonsense. Because Viari did something accidentally, they can't really punish her. But they also can't allow her to just keep the power that she has, otherwise it could destroy the magic that they have in the Feywild. So they come to an agreement. Alistair is not allowed to ever hold any position of power. However, mortal gods are allowed to be in the Feywild and hold lieutenantship. If they do a small favor and help rid the Feywild of aberrations. Aberrations are like mistakes. If you ever... in the real world, we don't have these. In Alistair's world, you don't have these. In the Feywild, you do. Because the Feywild is made off of assumptions and conventions. Eventually, though, there will be hypocrisy when you do that. If you don't have redundancy, you're left with mistakes. And these mistakes will arise when two pieces of logic have no way of reconciling. And if that happens, an aberration forms. And they are basically glitches in reality. The party was on an extermination mission to rid them of it. In the meanwhile, they did also go to to Madame Butterfly's tower. As they entered Madame Butterfly's tower, they met a guy who took his job way too seriously. A clerk took his job way too seriously. They got to the library. They learned about some shit about some books. They stole some books. Some very important books. Fey physics and Fey agreements. I don't know if it's
stealing if you technically got access.
Yeah,
I think if you don't want people to steal your restricted books, you just have a less hackable system.
That holds up really well in court, I hear.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Phoenix Wright Court.
And Fey Court.
Hey.
Yeah, that's gonna hold up so great in the Fey Court especially.
They don't know what happened. I rolled so high.
Did you check for scry?
Also, fucked.
Did you
Oh.
check for scry cams?
I don't know.
I don't think you did.
Oh, well, it'll be fine.
Either way, you took some very important books that basically covered all of the logic of the Feywild and all of every dealing that the Order Pantheon and the Chaos Pantheons have ever had in the Feywild. They stole those, gave them to Alistair. Alistair wrote them down, and so on and so forth. At this point in time, Aze also meets with Ziz again. Ziz is pondering the orb. Ziz says, hey, I kind of fucked up. I'm supposed to be the head planner for the Chaos Pantheon in this war, but I didn't have a plan, and they're starting to figure it out, and they're really mad at me. I need evacuation, like ASAP, or I'm gonna die.
Yeah. And Ace was like, yeah, this is gonna happen at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know why they hired you. I don't know if they called any of your references, but like, they sure as hell
I certainly
did not
didn't receive
me.
a call. Why are you here?
Ziz goes, there's a hit out on me from the God Hunters. I need your help.
Girl?
Aze agrees, because Aze has got her little guy. At this point in time, though, the party manages to deal with the aberrations with some more faffing about in the Feywild. They get rid of them, some fights happen, the party is back and forth, and eventually they get to the point where they can deal, where Viari is handed the Court of Dreams. She now officially owns the domain and the courts. It is the only double thing. Courts are not always domains, but dreams is. Yes, Aze.
Aze also eats Z's fingers. Sorry,
Right.
Aze also eats Z's finger and gets the Fey Spirit of space.
Right. Aze and Ziz have a conversation back when Ziz needs help escaping. Ziz goes, I need you to have control over space and time to help me here. Here's the Fey Spirit of I currently own the Fey Spirit of space. And so he tears off his finger and gives it to Aze to eat. She does. has a conversation with an ant. And that happens. The party eventually, Viari is given dreams. Viari controls the court of dreams, the domain of dreams. It's all hers now. No questions asked. How will I remember things now? The party then is given all that stuff, all that jazz, and at all this time we're wondering, where is Theta? Theta has been gone for quite some time. In the real life, Patrick got very busy.
I got extremely busy. Life got hectic and wild, and
it happened. And like Theta was just hanging out doing something really cool and fun, right? Like he was just having a little vacation. Is that what they were doing?
Yeah. So here's the thing.
You could call it a vacation from something.
Yeah, I was willing to
just.
break. I personally was like willing to just let Theta come back. But then Patrick approached me and goes like, this doesn't make sense.
No.
I want there to be something. And I went, okay. What do you think happens? He's like, what if I got in a fight? And I was like, what if Eleanor killed you? And he went, that's infinitely better.
I think my face like lit up like a kid on Christmas. I was like, yeah.
Good content.
I was like, I want my
Make
absence
these bitches
to
suffer.
mean something.
And so that's what happened. At the beginning of the arc, basically, I did a scene where Theta runs off and meets Eleanor. Eleanor looks him up and down and says, you're alone? Let's get to business. And Theta lets her destroy him. Kills him outright. Theta dies that moment. And however, he is in the Feywild, a domain separate from the Pantheon of Order, meaning death is unable to collect his soul. His soul is simply experiencing death inside of his decaying corpse for a week, while the party figures this shit out. Try as they might, nothing happens. Eventually, Theta is contacted by a force of nature, effectively. The mycelids. Well, not the mycelids, the mycelium.
My besties!
The mycelium of the forest. The Feywild is host to many things. Why is that? Mycelium is host to many things. Number one of that being mycelium. Mushrooms. The mushroom network that connects all living things. And they start decaying his body, because that's what they do. They're mushrooms. They meet Theta's soul in there because they're magical mushrooms. And they go, oh, you're still here. You're not supposed to be here. I guess you want to hang out? And they do. But Theta, they initially, as this happens, the mushrooms, what they do, what they think, what they experience is a collective understanding of a forest, of the Feywild as a whole. And as they begin to decompose Theta's body, incorporating it into the Feywild, his soul is still there. And the mycelium go, hey, you're not going. If we take your body, we will eventually have to avert our attention elsewhere. You can come with us. We can take your soul. And you can join the collective of us in the Feywild. Theta initially says, no, I'm fine. Something will happen. And they go, okay. A day passes and Theta meets some people from his past. Theta was raised somewhat interestingly. Number one being basically, to keep it short and to keep it mysterious, he was raised by a collection of cats. And these cats were changelings. Feyan changelings, so they can do whatever the fuck they want. With butterfly wings, they stand over Theta's body. And they go, pity. He was supposed to do so much more. And they move on. At this point in time, Theta realizes that maybe no one is coming. And so he takes up the offer of the mycelium. And they go, okay, we'll take your soul. And so they slowly begin working on incorporating his soul into the Mushroom Collective. Half a day passes, and the party successfully kills the last aberration, allowing order influence into the Feywild, and Death is able to collect Theta. At this point in time, though, Theta's aspect has been destroyed, discorporeated. And Theta's soul is different. He, for a brief moment, got to experience what it's like to have a broader understanding than a single individual, but that of an entire forest as a community, as a living organism.
Went on an ayahuasca trip. Discovered empathy.
Yeah, he discovered empathy. And he understands that, you know what? I have been thinking too small. I have been short-sighted.
Maybe I did fuck up with Eleanor.
Maybe.
To be fair, I realized that before she killed me.
Yeah, that's true.
And did thoroughly apologize while she was killing me.
There was also that time in between one of the arcs, you talked to Alistair about being like, I'm not so sure about last chances. I want to be something else. And Alistair was like, that's kind of hard to do. We kind of need you in this position. Can we change your responsibilities but keep the position? And Theta's like, I'm open to that. And Theta began the slow conversion into the god of possibility rather than last chances. But that was a Theta a little bit ago. Theta was slaughtered by Eleanor, and Death had some work to do. He took Theta's body in a little bowl and poured him into the soup of life in the big cauldron. And after making a bowl, he got Theta's new body ready. He took out Theta's soul from the soup and poured it into Theta's mouth. And Theta was reborn again. And he said goodbye.
Theta truly was at soup.
Theta was at soup. And Theta's old aspect was sent to the afterlife.
Sent to a big Pantheon upstate where it can run around with all the others.
Woof.
Theta had to then go and had to be rejuvenated at Life's domain, be rehabilitated into the new body, basically. And at this time, what happened to the rest of the party? They came back, and Gary approaches Viari and says, I need you to take care of the second Warlock of Truth ASAP. And Viari goes, okay. Godfrey, let's go. They break into Life's domain, and Viari does something she's never done before. She changes someone else's domain with her willpower. And as she does so, she finds the sleeping, still recovering Warlock of Truth. It's been years for this guy, still recovering. She steals him out of Life's domain and brings him to Godfrey's. After a brief interrogation, the party is left unclear as to what his motivations were. Gary said that this guy was trying to kill Gary, but this guy is confused. He says he never did try to do that, and then after a moment, he decides that he'd rather take his own life. And after that, the party sits there and go, what happened? Sirens.
This is also the first time I'm hearing of any of this.
Sirens blare, and Gary, they hear over the intercom, there's been an assassination. The God of Truth has been slain. An image of Gary is positioned over everybody. Truth's head on a pike. The God of Protection behind Gary. And he says, it's time to go. First contract of the God Hunters is finished.
We also did not explain anything about the God of Protection when that happened.
Yeah.
Right, the God of Protection. So
We may or may not have made him.
The party in Arc 2, after Gary had successfully trained all the kiddies, they're like, we're so worried about you, and he's like, I'm fine, I'll be good. And they're like, no, but your little baby girl, we're so worried about you, even though you're a 30-year-old man. And he goes, do whatever. And so they give him a hurdy-gurdy, and they imbue the god of protection with magic. They throw so many resources into this hurdy-gurdy, who, after a very generous donation of $100 from one of our chatters, said, can it be named after me? And we did. The god of protection's
I actually
name is
think that
T-Bone.
he tried to name it something else, and we missed the message at the time because someone pointed this out later.
Oh,
like,
really?
He tried to give it, yeah, and then we just called it T-Bone.
Nah, it's T-Bone.
That's my guy T-Bone.
That's
Yeah.
T-Bone.
T-Bone the hurdy-gurdy.
And the god of protection was made with the sole intent of protecting Gary. And because 3 gods collaborated on imbuing this item with magic, that's a lot of fucking power that they just giga-charged this thing with. And the god of protection was born. And so Gary now has a very strong protector. Gary said...
It's just like now hitting me how much plausible deniability A's has for all of these major... Like, any of this stuff with truth.
Yeah.
There's nothing actually connecting them to it.
You gotta show up to games to be connected to the plot.
I was there for the T-Bone thing, though. A's just didn't be a part of it, because A's was like, this seems like not a good idea.
Skill issue. Coward.
Mm-hmm.
The old you would have done it.
Who would?
The old you.
The old me?
Yeah, the old you would have done it.
Who's the old me?
I don't know. I think Brooke's just saying things.
Brooke is grasping at... Brooke is trying to land a shot here, but...
Don't try to like logic your way through this.
Yeah, Brooke is trying to gaslight you into having participated. That's what.
Yeah.
I was like, that was the old me. This was like months ago.
Yeah.
If you're wondering why A's is a little bit of a shows up at sporadic moments, because Amelia, you're on Unprepared Casters quite a bit, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on a lot of things. I'm a busy bitch.
They do be a busy bitch. And Haley, one of the hosts of Unprepared Casters, keeps stealing you away from my games.
It has happened once or twice. Yeah, I was told that while I wasn't at Gen Con, Haley and Offbeat had a whole conversation about who got custody of me and when.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
I think I got no days and Haley got weekends. Was I think the result of that.
No, Haley told me I think you get Friday nights and like Tuesdays or something, and Haley gets weekends.
Oh,
or you get every other something weekday.
Every alternating week, I get Wednesdays and Fridays. So yeah, Gary killed the God of Truth and revealed himself to be the first God Hunter. After this, the party has once again proceeded to, I wouldn't want to say fart around as we got more plot reveals, but there's a lot of plot reveal that happened. No major events, but a lot of reveals. The party went to the Domain of Dreams that Viari has been slowly outfitting to fit their understanding.
No major events, they say. No major. It felt pretty major.
That wasn't an event, though. You guys just learned something. That already happened, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's like if you go to school and then like your teacher's like, here's World War I, and you're like, this is a major event, and it's like, no, that happened earlier.
Why are people not talking about this?
Why is no one talking about Franz Ferdinand is dead? But you guys made it to the Domain of Dreams, and Viari, looking at her book, realizes something different. She knows how to lie on contracts now. She's a newer, better person, and so she begins to look at the old messages that were left to her in her book from the old gods of lies.
Trippy.
And slowly but surely, message after message is revealed. For about
That was truly one of my favorite episodes. Like, that was such a good moment. Maybe like my favorite campaign moment of just like sitting there listening to you read this thing that you had clearly planned out and like put a lot of care into since day one, Because also for me as a player, you had taken like ideas that I liked and we had talked about, and you'd woven it in, and then I'm seeing like the fruition. And I don't know if you know this about me, Offbeat Outlaw, but I really like lore. I know this might come as a shock to you, but fuck off.
Who could have?
But that was the best moment in this campaign.
That like it genuinely shook me to my core.
It was so
That
good.
It was
whole episode, I
Expert
could not
storytelling.
stop.
Obviously,
you-
we're all here because we really like having you as a DM, and you have like a lot of great moments. But I think that was like the reveal of that, just the like what is it dramatic irony of like being the player experiencing that in the
Yeah.
same headspace as the characters experiencing that. I really thought that was well
Chills.
done.
Thank you. I really
Full
appreciate it.
chills.
But yes, the party slowly but surely began to reveal that they are not the first ones to have been through these events. The first one to have been through the Pantheonic Wars that reset the universe. And they learned that Alistair's job is... It's not evil, it's not good, but he has a job. His job is to bring back perfect order. And perfect order is everything in its box and everything back in its position where it's supposed to be. And not interacting with anything. Chaos wants everything to happen and then for everything to be done. But once everything's
kind of
happened,
hot.
which is kind of nice, but then nothing happens ever again. Which is not as hot. So, the party realizes that Order has won consistently every single time that there is an entry in this book. And that Alistair has been doing this, winning the war, resetting the world, writing a new contract, and even he has done it so many times that he doesn't remember each time he's done it. He doesn't remember a single time that he's done it. The only thing that remembers is the infinite bureau, his desk, the only fixed point in the universe.
But the Fae probably do. Because
Fae-
they haven't been reset.
They're not in the universe. They don't count. How many pages make up the mural? You mean the divine contract? An infinite
No, the
number.
mural.
The
at
last
the back
pages
of it,
of
yeah.
every book.
Oh,
The end.
technically an infinite number as they showcase the final events of everything happening ever. So you need a lot of pages to do that. But the pages that
The
concern
sheer
you.
number of times the answer to any question where a number is involved in this game is
You're
infinite.
just infinite.
Yeah, it's more uncommon for there to be a number. So you could usually
Very true.
If I say a number, that's when it's important. That's when you go, oh fuck. Otherwise, just assume infinity probably.
That's like when you said Alistair only had 3 kids, including Viari, and I was like, I just assumed there was an infinite number.
Exactly. That's why that's important. Also, Aziz is one of Alistair's kids.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
Um,
My big brother, who I hate and is a dick.
mhm.
But he loves Ace
He's
so much.
Fucking my
Like,
friend.
canonically, you cut open Z's and get to the core, and it's just love Ace juice.
Yeah. That
It,
is-
yeah, that actually did happen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a thing that
Alistair
happened.
wants everyone in prison. KS wants everyone dead. Alistair wants everyone to be disassembled and then put into unique piles of their different chemical makeup.
And
That's-
Yeah.
start all over again.
There was one time that we found out where Chaos won, but the
No.
universe still reset.
No. So what happened was they're like, nah, Chaos won. And then they're like, wait, he's doing something. Referring
Talking
to
about
Alistair.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so clearly Order
was
actually ended
contingency.
up winning. Yeah.
Right.
It got close though.
Right. Hmm.
So I have a question, because this has always kind of confused me a little bit. So Alistair didn't know that he had been, like, he doesn't remember anything prior to the resets, and neither does Beatrice, neither does anyone, right?
Yeah.
And yet he says that there have been so many wars between Chaos and Order so many times, and this is the closest that they have ever come to winning. Does that mean that there have been so many wars within this timeline already,
Yes.
and Alistair has just not managed to complete a reset?
Oh.
Well, the one thing that's different about this war is that agreement is not on Alistair's side currently. Every previous war, agreement has been with Alistair. Godfrey.
And he was the one who kept saying, "Don't reset them." Don't destroy chaos. He was the one who kept saying, "Don't destroy chaos."
Yeah.
So what is that? Are you implying something that I'm missing, or?
I'm implying that there's been many wars, and that agreement has been on Alistair's side in all of the previous ones, and the world hasn't reset. There is something unique about this war that will probably result in the universe resetting.
And that is tied
and
to
agreement seems to know about that and doesn't want us to do it.
Or agreement is always been inadvertently the reason why it doesn't reset. Something about agreement makes it so that that doesn't happen.
Uncle Agreement is so forgiving.
Luck said she has glimpses of the resets. Yep.
But doesn't actually like properly remember them. Yeah.
Also, like, Luck isn't all powerful. She's close.
Oh no.
So maybe what if that's just getting fucked with? We don't know.
And that's the thing that we have come to learn, is that just because these individuals are gods does not make them all powerful or even in any way infallible. In fact,
sometimes
all
they're
of them
dumb
are
as shit.
I like how the gods are portrayed as like, Alistair knows his flaws. He's like, listen, I am the living embodiment of a concept. I know that I am here to fulfill my function. And I know that there are going to be times where you disagree with me, but this is how I'm going to do it because this is what I'm sort of programmed to do, but I accept if it doesn't go my way. Like, they're very okay with things not working out. They're just also set on doing their thing. Same as, like, it makes more sense. So originally when you were discussing how especially the like higher gods work in the Pantheon, you were saying that once a decision is made, they all just kind of accept it and they're like, yes, this is the correct decision. And it didn't fully make sense until we played it and you made that more of like a thing. Does it make sense? Like, until you interact
experience
with it.
You got to experience what that looks like, of the gods disagreeing, and then once they come to an agreement, it's this is how it's always been.
But it's also kind of like that self-awareness of, I know that I'm going to fight for the thing that is integral to my concept, but if we don't land on my concept, I can accept, as long as it falls under the overarching theme of order and the Pantheon, that it's probably for the greater good because this is for order. And it's like that whole putting the collective in front of the individual. I accept that order is being bettered.
First time here, what's happening? Levi Evil, boy howdy. We are busy getting into the last little section of the recap episode. If you want to get up to date on all 50 episodes of Paperwork Pantheon, go back to the beginning of this episode, and we cover all of the major events that you need to know to watch it going forward, and you won't hopefully be lost. So yeah, go do that if you have the time. We're doing this every Friday. But yeah. Any other questions from chat, from my players, about the world that I can answer Brooklyn Tuesday?
Fate had told A's that if agreement succeeds, chaos wins. Is a comment from Zeke Morningstar.
Yeah,
and I'm curious about
maybe
the prophecy.
You got told that by Fate.
Yeah, no, that's what Zeke was saying. Yeah.
Also,
I totally remember that. Yeah, I remember all the important things I get told.
What about
I wasn't
the
there
uranium
for it.
eating kid? The uranium Chewie is, unfortunately, as lovable as Chewie is, he is not an important member of the plot.
No, but he is great, and we love him. And
We love
We do
Chewie.
love him.
We love
and
Chewie
has
dearly.
plot armor. Chewie has plot armor. Is
He
what
ate
we're saying.
uranium and doesn't have cancer, so
Look,
yeah.
he just kind of proven himself to be unkillable.
Chewie
might be the clockmaker of this entire universe.
Chewie scales to Goku. Chewie scales to Goku, by the way. So if you say he's not beating Goku, Chewie does in fact beat Goku in a fight. He just chooses not to.
Offbeat, can we
He's
confirm
like
that
that.
Chewie is your writer self-insert?
Chewie, my right?
Oh no, his
No,
writer
Alistair.
self-insert is
No, of course.
Alistair and Gary.
And
I'm aware of that. I'm making a joke.
you want it to be Chewie, the guy
Yes.
who chews on uranium?
Yes,
You
because
have
he's
6-year-old.
unkillable
I think you
and
want
might
it
as
to be
well
Chewie.
be
I think
the
you
god
could
of
use
all
Chewie uranium right now.
You have 3 though. It's Alistair, it's Gary, and it's Z's.
POV, I am Chewie.
Offbeat's 3 aspects.
Yes.
They are me. They me for real, for real.
They be me for real.
Give him radioactive powers. We don't know what Chewie's capable of.
We don't, and
We've-
nor do we want to find out because
don't wanna
honestly,
know.
terrifying.
He currently has active fissible uranium in his stomach, and we're waiting for it to pass.
And it's not doing anything to him, so like.
I'm dying to get to the Gary coming back. I know I have to be patient and wait. So much VR stuff has happened recently. I'm so invested.
I want to have caught Coco with Fate again.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
I want to meet Fate.
We're not allowed
there-
to. It's an Amelia little treat.
Okay. Question
die.
actually for when we go back.
Yes.
Because the deal that we made with Bernard was contingent on the musicians participating in taking down the government, but we've kind of done the majority of that work. Does that mean that that agreement is null and void? And can we just fuck him up?
Bernard?
Yeah.
Why would you want to fuck up
Why
Bernard?
Yeah.
Bernard's
Am I
working
thinking of the
for
wrong
us.
guy?
Bernard is
Oh,
the Scots, is the
you
guy.
remember you don't
Yeah,
like
because
him.
I don't like him. Because
Yeah.
he was like, yeah,
That's
we're
the
gonna
you
glass
thing.
the city with all of the people who have been kept captive by the government. Because you know what? Even though they've been like living under government rule and probably persecuted, well, they're complicit, so might as well destroy them.
I
The
will
thing
let you
about
know
that, though,
if you
is
kill a heavily armed cult of personalities cult leader, they will kill you. You will start infighting within the bandits.
But what if just wipe out the musicians?
You will probably get shit rocked by the government.
If I can also just throw in a thing, right? We know that Theta is lieutenant for the Court of the Beetle, and also Bernard is lieutenant for the Court of the Beetle. So somehow in
Mass
your
scandal.
history, Sorry?
Mass scandal as well in the Face side. I just realized it because of that lieutenant infighting in the Court of the Beetle, because you're both lieutenants of the court.
I don't know that.
are you allowed to have 2?
Theta does not know that he is a lieutenant of the Court of the
Lieutenants?
Beetle. That
You can have
has
as many
not been
lieutenants
brought
as
up.
you want.
Oh, what does it mean?
No one has told Theta that yet, by the way.
Yeah.
It's just a ranking.
That's
but what does
fair,
it mean?
but
What
that
does-
doesn't change
Because
the
Ace
fact.
would know what it meant.
Ace would know what it meant. Amelia doesn't know shit.
Offbeat, what does it mean to be a lieutenant of a
Offbeat
court?
gives me lore on screen, and I'm like, this is perfect. This is all I need.
Also,
Lieutenant,
did the cats have butterfly wings or moth wings?
butterfly wings. A lieutenant
Fuck,
is
okay.
basically the job of a lieutenant is almost like head advisor to whoever the leader is. Your jobs are maintenance, and you're kind of also the mouthpiece for the court as a whole. So whatever, like for example, A's as the lieutenant for Lady Luna, your job would be to receive information from Lady Luna, to speak on her behalf at times. Basically, this is someone who I trust, whose mental state aligns with my own. And if
Their
they-
right hand arm man.
yeah,
Their
and,
silly rabbit.
and
So
sometimes
Gary
go-
had the
rotten
audacity to
soldier.
not resign after
The
betraying
cheese
me.
man.
They're good times.
I don't know if resignation from a Fey court that he barely knew about was on the top of his
I'm
priority.
going to ruin this man's dreams for the rest of time, and I have time on my side. So
Yeah.
Wait, whose dreams are we ruining?
Gary's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
going to, he's just going to, every single dream he ever has is going to have someone going, I fucked your sister. Like,
No!
constant.
Stop!
Like you will never escape this.
Please!
Start giving him, if I'm really annoyed with him, I'll start giving him like egregious details.
It's the singular. Please.
As
That's
for
what she said.
as for dealing with Bernard can be convinced. He's headstrong.
Okay.
He's headstrong in his beliefs.
Passionate, if you will.
You could, talk to him about it.
I did, and he was not budging.
Yeah, because he didn't know who you were yet or give a shit. Why? I also would not listen to a random person who declared themselves God and broke into my house. Imagine if for a moment you broke into Joe Biden's house and went, "You should stop the war in wherever there's the war currently." What
Good job.
war? And be
Nice
like,
save.
yeah. And then I was like, too many fronts. You should stop fighting wherever there's oil. And Joe Biden's like, why the fuck would I do that? Who are you? Why would I care?
I'm God, bitch. To be fair, Joe Biden might be like senile enough to believe that.
Well, Omar, you do look like Jesus. That's what he'd do, and he'd believe
Why
you.
is Joe Biden Southern?
I don't know how Joe Biden sounds like.
He's from Delaware.
What
What is Delawarean's accent?
I don't know.
Does Gary...
Lexi adding facial hair to Theta
Freaking
is the
hilarious.
most hilarious, disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, also, okay. This question came up like an hour or two ago, but someone asked if because A's is an Eladrin, do they ever change their form? And the answer is yes, it changed from winter to being all spring-like in the summer, or in the Feywild. I saw that, and then we were talking, and I forgot about it until I looked over at Brooke's screen.
Wait, what was it?
Because A's and Eladrin, do they ever change their form?
Oh, yeah.
To start out winter, and now we're in spring.
Trying to think.
Any other
Yes.
questions, Lord?
I guess for me, the only other question that I can think of off the top of my head right now was that question of, were the butterfly wings significant on the okay.
I will
Does
say that like in every other situation in the Feywild it has been, there's no reason to believe it wasn't in this case.
got you.
The
Because I wasn't there, does that tie them to any specific court?
You would
That-
know about the specific courts of the Court of the Moth, the Court of the Butterfly, and the Court of the Dragonfly.
Right. So would that, as a conflict of interest, tie Theta, because technically part of that family, to the Court of the Butterfly?
Were you a part of that family, or were you raised by them?
I don't think I was old enough to understand.
Oh, that was such a heartbreaking question. Why
And
would you
also,
ask it
fuck
like
you.
that?
Yeah.
Why did your face do that thing?
I mean,
It's a valid question.
I don't like it when your face does the thing.
You could be raised by people who aren't your family, and who aren't good people.
yeah, but I think
I know. but
there
I
was
don't
a
like
part of
being-
Theta that did consider them family, and then they continuously abandoned him. So it's very like, yeah,
might be-
that's
It's something to think about, to be sure.
Because they had the same
Something to think
accent
about.
as you as well.
right.
That's what confuses me, right? They have the same accent as you, but then so does Bernard.
Well, I
You
mean,
just smiled.
to be
Offbeat
fair,
just smiled.
Theta has an Irish accent, Bernard has a Scottish accent, but I don't know that Offbeat knows how to do an Irish accent and might have just diverted to Scottish.
I was just doing what I knew how to do more consistently.
Cool. Understood. That's what I thought.
And I was like, this will translate the same. But yeah, if there's a connection in my game, it's intentional.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Might have to go to war with the Court of the Butterfly. We'll see.
That's
I just like
Jesus
saying
God.
incendiary shit. I'm just gonna clarify. Like, to just everybody out there and to you guys, like when I say like, yeah, I'm just gonna wipe out the musicians, or like, yeah, the
Amelia
people from
likes
the Court of the
doing
Butterfly
incendiary shit.
like abandoned me as a
Like when?
child, so I guess I'm just gonna set it all on
Zeke.
fire.
Yeah.
I don't actually mean it.
The fact that you just said like when, as though there's not such an obvious answer.
Does Alistair get glimpses like luck? No, but, or at least non-confirmed, but Alistair does have his desk that has a record of every reset.
Is Viari ever going to get the dreams from Alistair or no?
Well,
The
now that you
memories?
have access to dreams, we'll see.
Oh, so before I didn't at all, but now I thought I did. I thought canonically we discussed that.
We did,
Viari
but they were used, but they were 90% of them bullshit. But now they're gonna be more tuned because Alistair had stuff to keep you out.
Wait. Oh, that's so rude. The princess, Viari dreaming and seeing the princess, is that happening more? Why would you torment me with the princess?
Why would you put this in your backstory?
She was improv'd.
There we go. There's the end of the answer to your questions.
I have the thing is, whenever I make a backstory, I will literally start off with like maybe a paragraph. I'm like, I don't know what's in here, and then I just keep adding stuff the longer the campaign goes on. That's why it ends up super elaborate, because I start off with like a paragraph and then go, what if this? What if that? What if this?
So
Legit.
And then you say, yes,
Theta's
let's
whole
do it.
backstory was like, folk hero started out like as like nothing, raised by cats, left in an orphanage one day. That's it.
My favorite thing
We've
is
just
that
kept
like
adding things.
when we were doing like our backstory connections or whatever, we were like, yeah, Theta was hosting a revolution and completely fucked up one of Viari's missions,
espionage,
and
yeah.
Viari was gonna have to do a fuck ton of paperwork if they didn't go on the next mission with Theta, and so they went on the next mission purely to get out of doing paperwork, and then they begrudgingly became friends.
And now they are like the closest of friends. Yeah, especially since Gary's gone. I guess I'm the best friend now. So
You were
fuck
always the
Gary.
best friend.
does Viari dream?
say
Am I
best
gonna look in
friend
your
for
book and
multiple
see that written
characters.
down?
Does
No, I say best friend for multiple characters.
Okay.
I say it for Ace and I say it for Godfried as well. I say it for all of you guys.
Does Viari actually dream now? Does a snail snail? Does a fish fish? Does a horse? Yes, they do. A horse is very good, so yes, Viari does dream now.
What kind of answer was that? Why are you kidding?
An accurate
Sometimes
one.
they're just asking earnest questions and then you just be a dick back.
It's
Yeah,
way
that tracks.
funnier if I say with dumb answers. Does a king creepsta? You tell me, chat. I think a king creepsta does king creepsta. But as Viari is dreams, yes, they do dream. But also their dreams are gonna be wild.
Really?
Wild and
Wild.
crazy dreams.
I'm so excited for
Please,
this.
I am.
Does Viari
Let's do
still
that.
have like their kit when they dream?
You don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you've never experienced that. We'll have to see. Oh, no.
It's so good.
Oh, we'll have to find out in game. We'll have to play the thing that you enjoy.
Oh my god.
Brooke hates that.
Outlaw.
The one
Why
thing-
are we doing a recap when we could be playing Dungeons and Dragons?
Marketing, baby. What happened to the luck
Marketing.
fights? The party was in the Feywild. And every time I planned on doing one, there wasn't enough members to successfully take on the fight I had planned. And I was like, they're gonna die.
I wanted to like luck so bad, and then she was rude to me this one time, so I decided I hated her.
One time
Yeah.
my mom was rude to you.
One time
and now
when-
you hate her.
Viari asked a question that her business wasn't necessarily involved in that felt personal.
Yeah, it was just very weird. Her reaction was weird. Viara's just like, what's happening with this thing? And then Luck's like, me.
Hey,
Maybe
what's
there's
happening
something-
with the secret plan that you're doing?
How the
My dad
fuck
wants
do
to
you
know.
She
know
could
about
just be
that?
like, I'm not telling you it's a secret.
She coulda, but she didn't because
She was mean to me. She was mean to me. So I've decided, hey, I don't really trust, mind you, I don't really, not that I don't trust them, like I trust them to do the right thing in terms of order and that sort of thing. But I'm not on the side of any of the higher gods in order, except like Alistair, because he's shown the awareness to accept someone else's outcome. Does that make sense? Like it feels like he almost wants us to win. Like he would want a
Whatever
different
we're
outcome.
trying to do,
He's still working towards his thing, but he accepts.
He's got his programming, but he understands that we can work outside of his rules.
So like I trust him because he's shown that awareness of like accepting an ulterior outcome. But the others I'm kind of just like sus. You all wanted me dead.
They all have their little schemes, and it's a little weird.
Yeah, and also, because logically, can you imagine a like 17-year-old going on trial for when they didn't have all of the information, they were cheated against, they were tricked, and you going, oh, we're just going to banish you from existence for 10,000 years because we can't do it for longer.
Yeah, it's really fucked, I'm not gonna lie.
You did destroy reality briefly, but that's neither here nor
By
there, I guess.
accident? Tell me give me good information next time. Can we launch a propaganda campaign to turn people on, like, to make people like us more favorably than the higher gods?
You can, I guess. Good luck.
You said that it's already starting to happen.
If you actively take part in that, though,
Oh yeah, I need to set up A's religion. Keep forgetting about that.
I think it would be so funny if the VRs just took on, like, the VRmy did, you know, the Mean Girls thing of, like, I heard she does car commercials in Japan. Like, that.
yeah, if you guys just keep doing what you're doing, that will happen. Because
Right.
I've already stated that. If you guys actively start slandering or up-talking yourselves very much so,
It'll get a little weird.
the head gods are gonna be like, if power shifts naturally, sure. But this is bullshit. Slander and defamation will not be tolerated.
Oh,
How dare you? That's not slander. Verbally, it's slander. In print,
Whole
it's libel.
thing. Also, Zeke, thank you. I agree.
If Order was smart, they wouldn't give a child the power to screw reality. Never once have I said that they were smart. They're very ordered.
No, yes.
Alistair is smart, but Alistair also has to do what he's told to do to an extent.
A person is smart. People are stupid. That is a quote from Men in Black.
And also the other options would be to not give the child the power to screw a reality and then lose every war ever and existence ends.
Well, they could also just
There has
give
to be
the
a
child the
middle ground.
information necessary to know not to sign a contract or whatever. Like, give them a realistic understanding of what they're actually doing.
Right.
Who tells Alistair what to do? The other gods.
Your mom?
Oh shit!
Wait, that seems like a really high compliment to their mom, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so true.
So true, bestie.
Who are the top order gods? Alistair's number one.
Then
Luck
Luck
has the same amount of power as him, but is not ranked as highly in terms of, like, authority. And then you have, on equal footing, the Triumvirate of War, Fate, Death. Who else?
That's it.
Oh, the Triumvirate of War includes
Bloodshed.
warfare, bloodshed, and
cruelty.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sad that you guys haven't met Cruelty as much, or Cruelty just hasn't been involved too much. They're going to be more involved in the next plot. Old
No, we've
grand-
She's
experienced
just an
it.
old lady.
She's an old lady. We love a girl boss. But yeah.
I remember I was like, we would hang out and you would workshop the early like concepts for different characters. The first time I ever met Bloodshed was confronting. I needed therapy after that.
Bloodshed's position is to stoke anger inside of you.
I was not ready for her to be so mean because you didn't tell me that's what she was doing either.
I said she was gonna make you upset and say fucked up shit.
I don't think you did until afterwards.
I told you Viari was. I told you the character, and then you said I don't think I'll like her. And then I said no, I think you will.
Yeah.
Watch this, and then you're like, okay.
I was gaslit hard. It was really problematic. I don't feel very good about the manipulation that took place with Bloodshed.
The thing is Brooke just like lies in real life as well.
No, it's just the Australian sense of humor, honestly.
You're right.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
I mean,
Drop bears.
Amelia came over to my mum's house last night. It was so funny because we talked about like the drop bear thing. I think, didn't we? Oh, we definitely talked about the fact that koalas are
No, we talked
actually
about how
a
much
menace.
I fucking hate koalas.
Yeah, koalas are actually a menace
I
and
want to see
will
a
fuck you
goddamn
up.
koala this entire trip. I've
They
been fine
all
having my
have
entire
chlamydia.
fucking life without seeing koala. Dear God.
I don't think there's a universal law of balance and opposites in this universe. There is. Every time Viari works too hard to get something that she wants, it doesn't work out.
God damn.
That's so rude.
Every time Ace tries to have things both ways, like having a boy toy and being good to her friends, it doesn't work out. Every time Theta wants to be the hero, be the loner, but at the same time be caring for those around him, it doesn't work out.
And Godfrey's having a great time, actually, though.
That's because Godfrey doesn't try to have things both ways. He has things one
Godfrey
way.
stays in his lane.
Yeah. There is a force of
Godfrey
balance.
has
The force of
achieved
balance is
enlightenment.
myself. I am the balance above all of them.
You can't tell me that caring is a good thing and then say I care too much and it's a bad thing.
I can actually.
That's literally Theta's entire character.
Also, the way that
Find a new player.
Zeke said we need a familiar arc, and that Ace has had a familiar this whole time that I just keep forgetting about.
Oh yeah, the little, is it like a ferret or something?
Yeah.
Zeke also has one.
I don't think Theta does. I don't think Theta has one. I think we established that Theta is the one member of the group that doesn't
have a familiar, maybe.
Familiar, yeah.
Yeah, I have
Ferret
Charlie.
takes different forms because sometimes it's an actual ferret, and then sometimes when I'm an artificer, it's like my little like metal articulated ferret.
Do you remember the day that I came to you offbeat and was like, I have an idea for my familiar. Can he be my lawyer?
And I was
You-
like, yes!
I remember this moment because you literally just went, it's kind of based actually. Like,
And Charlie was born. My favorite, my guy. The
Only
voice of
man in this
reason.
entire fucking pantheon I respect.
The only man. The only
I
man.
love Charlie. He's one of the best characters in this whole game.
Charlie's pretty great.
In terms
His
of
whole thing in that episode where we found the like book of lies, the past entries or whatever. His whole thing there where he's like, yeah, I support you doing a universe rewrite. I was like, oh, thank you.
In terms of story, where are we? Like 50% end of Act 2 or something? Arc, there's gonna be, in my mind, 3 arcs. However long the players take to finish the 3rd arc is up to them, as it's by far the
7
biggest.
years.
It's the biggest, it's got the most moving parts. You thought the jaunt in the Feywild was a lot? Get ready, there's more.
I've been on arc 2 for like 8 months.
The majority of this game has been Arc 2.
Arc 1, I told you guys, was gonna be the baby step. And
Yeah.
then Arc 2 was gonna be big. Arc 3 is going to be... I'm gonna divide Arc 3 into 3 arcs. Arc 3.3, 3.6, and 3.999.
That's just some Stormlight Archives plot structure right there.
It's gonna be great.
We're here for it.
We support it.
I
I'm
feel
so
like
excited.
we're getting closer to the end game than we were before. I
Yeah.
think
You
we
guys
passed the 50% mark.
You guys, I would say, you guys have a lot of information that can basically foretell. Like, I feel like it makes sense. You guys, the end of the game is chaos, order, or you guys getting what you want. That's the end. I've been showing my hand since the beginning. You guys are getting bits and bobs of how to do that, slowly but surely. And there are things that are getting revealed as time goes on, like how to accomplish your goals, and how to do things that you need to do, and how to actually get exactly what you want. I'd say you guys have, in terms of the information, it's hard to judge because I also like adding things when I think of a cool idea. I'd say, as far as like the information that you need to know, I'd say that you have the major goalposts. You know nothing of the in between. You don't know
Right.
anything of the in between of those major goalposts of stuff that you need to know. Like, yeah.
Oh, Zeke, that's a good idea. I think Theta does have a familiar now. I think it's a little mushroom.
It's a
That's
little
so
Goomba.
cute.
It's a little
Yes!
mushroom guy.
It's the little. Have you seen Abby Toads, the Instagram page Abby Toads, where it's just these little mushroom guys.
Oh, amazing.
That one. That's Theta's. That's
Oh,
Theta's little.
yes.
They're all just little mushrooms.
Could he have incredibly sharp teeth?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. He's adorable, but he opens his mouth and it's just.
And
Option
like
D,
Rose and
order
Shark's
wins,
teeth.
but you guys somehow retain memories and godhood and start all over. That
We
would
just
honestly
keep playing this campaign
so
over and
fun.
over
I
again until we
support
die.
it. Yeah, I support it.
Look, option D is the camp. Look, the campaign will end. I'm a believer in endings.
Yes.
We can keep playing as the characters, but the story ends. Like, I'm gonna need a break. Like, it is going to be an emotional journey for me, because this has been my dream D&D campaign for years. So once this is over, once that ending happens, I am going to be drained.
How is that DMing your dream D&D campaign with us?
It's fantastic. I've got amazing players. I've got people who understand what I like. I've got people who get the point of the campaign and the characters. You guys love the world. You guys are exploring the world. The amount of questions that Brooke asks me that I'm like, I simply cannot tell you the answer to these questions. It is great. I have loved DMing this because this has been my dream campaign, and I'm like, you guys are so good at this game. You're so perfect for it.
I love that you love that, because I always worry that I'm annoying as a player because I push people to add more lore. Like, I'm like, I just want lore all the time. Every DM I've ever had has figured out very quickly that, like, all I want is lore. You can
Brooke, I'm
dangle
right
a
there
carrot
with
in
you,
front
though.
of me and I will chase it. It's like, did you just say story? Did you say plot? Just... And it's funny because we had a conversation super duper early on. This is before we even started playing, about like my stance on storytelling in general. And I was like, well, one of the big things is that you should release information consistently. You shouldn't hold on to information for long periods of time, because otherwise there's no satisfaction in the information when it's released. You don't get the payoff. Like, it's that whole promise, progress, payoff thing, and you never get that catharsis. So like, the best thing to do is to keep feeding people information, and then the story develops more and more and more, and you get these bigger, more satisfying conclusions. And you have said that you took that to heart, and I feel like I feel it in this game.
Yeah, I just keep giving you guys information.
That's great.
I plan things. Like, as soon as I plan things, I make sure they have a good setup, but...
I love it. I love it so much. I get so much lore.
I wonder what would happen if everything reset while the characters were in the Feywild, says King Creepsta.
Yeah, I wonder, huh?
That would be high-key
Wait,
such a cool...
But what a power
campaign.
move would it be if we just waited out the end of the war let order ensured that order was going to win, popped to the Feywild, waited, and then when everything resets and Alistair is rebuilding, just came out and be like, hi, we're the gods of the passage of time, last chances, lies, and punishments respectively.
Well, we'd be dealing with order, not Alistair.
And we also wouldn't be the gods still.
You wouldn't be.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because everything is rewritten. So all of our power comes from the divine contract.
Right.
Would I still have dreams?
You wouldn't have domain over it, but you'd still be leader of the court.
We would just be associated with the Fae, I guess, at that point.
Right, yeah. We would come through as emissaries of the Fae.
Interesting. I kind of like exploring this conceptually. I know that we're probably going to end up working towards our own personal rewrite, but like as an idea, that's so interesting of like going and hiding out in the Feywild.
That's a fun alternate universe.
Yeah.
You want to write that fan fiction? Go for it.
Paperwork Pantheon, what if?
I would just also
Be a
like
fun
to
one
say
shot.
that as time and space works differently in the Feywild and in the real world, and A's and Z's are, and all Feyn people are exceptionally old.
What do you mean?
Something to think about.
Wait, can you say that again? It
Every
sounded like you
single-
started a sentence and then you just didn't finish it
Yeah,
to me.
I didn't finish it intentionally. The sentence is, you know, it is interesting to think about, especially when you start considering how Fey time and real time work differently. And you got people in your party who are old even for Fey, Lady Luna, and it's just something to think about.
Talking to them might be an interesting.
Yeah.
Did I forget
Has this
shit?
happened
Is
before?
Ace supposed to know stuff?
Has this happened before?
Maybe Ace was caught out of the Feywild in a reset.
Oh fuck.
What if this isn't your personal first Pantheonic war? Wait, what if there are previous versions of of the people who fought that are in the Feywild, that escaped to the Feywild, that are the previous people who were in the
What
wars
if-
of Beats Wild?
What if my cat mom was one of them? And that's why she was like, pity he had so much potential.
Offbeat Outlaw. Can we play D&D real quick?
No.
No.
Bruh, this is why I love this fucking campaign, because we have moments where we're like, wait, what if this is the thing? Holy fuck.
Yeah, what if, huh? Looks like you have to go
My favorite thing is the like, I feel like there's like a little mini game that happens between Offbeat and I of like, how much can I guess before it comes up?
She guesses a lot. She's very accurate.
Mhm.
That's because we're the same person, different fonts.
Oh my god, that's so true though.
The thing is, I don't think you would get it from like on stream, because people are different on stream, but
For sure.
Yeah,
I will
Offbeat's
say,
in
for the
both
good majority of
italics.
this, I did forget that chat was here for the majority of this.
Yeah.
I know, I've been looking at them.
yeah, I've been reading it.
I've been glancing over, seeing if there's any.
Cat, isn't your cat mom a changeling?
Both changelings, yeah. Changelings are Feyn in my world.
They are in D&D lore too.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it is interesting. So I was quote unquote too young to remember. But what if that was just me getting caught outside of the Fae during a reset?
Will the players ever visit 7C6 Idiots World? Nah. It's like that's like an alternate universe. That's like almost like non-canon to. It's canon to its own universe. If that makes sense. It's its own thing.
Loosely connected, but too loose to
It's like
crossover.
It's like there's Alistair's was also in that one at the very, very end as like a final character that they met. I think he was the last person they spoke to. Like There's some overlap in concept, but very different campaigns, different Pantheon, different world. Like, so they probably won't visit that world.
What if Lady Luna was once one of the people trying to help? Reset.
I still
Like
am thinking that it might have been one of the Court of the Butterfly too.
I think any given leader, like, what if that's how they
What if it's
first
the court
they-
leaders?
Yeah, what if it's how it first came about and they didn't do it as well as like Alistair and such. They weren't as good at it.
I mean,
But
Brooke,
also
all
they
we would
went
have
there-
to do is find the previous god of lies.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They would know.
Who do we think the previous god of lies is? Have we?
I mean,
met
Lady Luna
any of the
seems to
previous gods of
track.
lies? Yeah.
The way that you guys are trying to figure out the plot, and then I'm just sitting here like, wait a sec. If A's and Z's were here before, that's why they love each other so much? Because they've been loving each other in every lifetime and they just found each other on the mortal plane?
All right, The Notebook, calm down.
I loved that shit when I was a kid. That was one of my faves.
It's very good. It is very, very good.
What if it's Viari's parents? I don't know if it would be. Viari's parents are Fae.
They're in the dreaming.
It's true, and they are in the.
They
dreaming.
being in the dreaming, they would have also been kept separate from any given reset. So the Kalashtar have existed outside of resets as well.
The dreaming's where things get different. It's where worlds
Oh.
are literally meeting and the rules change.
Okay.
It depends.
So parts of it might have been reset, like the parts that are touching order.
I
and
would
the material
suggest that any hypothesis you have currently about how the
Okay.
dreaming works, you need
We don't have
you need
enough
more
information.
information. You don't have enough.
Oh, I want to go talk to the. You know how we were supposed to go back to the main quest?
Yes.
I wanted to so badly
Nice.
want to talk to the courts about the previous gods.
Okay, here's what we do. All of these thoughts we have about what we do and don't want to say to the courts, we write them down. And then we do the plot, and the next time the plot has us go to the Feywild, we have a whole long list of things we need to get done.
I need this information more than I need to get the plot done. Time stops. What if we just go and do like it quickly at the beginning of the next game?
What's the cosmology of the universe? How many realms, planes? The
Infinity!
There you go. Good answer. I would suggest saying enough. Enough. There's enough.
Enough.
How many? Enough. Enough for the purposes that I need.
A usual amount.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
Like-
are not working within the
What
cosbium.
if the
The
map
planets
was-
don't necessarily matter. Because I imagine the bandit world is on a different world within the mortal plane, but a different world than
It is,
the world
yeah.
with the sun god.
And the mortal
is.
plane is also a catch-all term for any plane of existence that is
You know, where
mortal.
stuff happens.
Right.
Yeah, where things
Yeah.
happen. So it's like that plane could be a different plane with its own universe entirely.
Yeah,
Could be the
it's
same. Right.
an alternate universe to the it's just the Feywild and the mortal plane. I mean, like the material plane. There is like the Pantheon, but that's also connected to the material plane. Like that's part of that
Right.
realm of existence. But the Feywild is distinctly separate. There's only two.
Correct.
What if
Oh,
lies
it's
used to be
used
a
to be a
Fey
Fey.
domain? Fey don't have
Yeah.
domains. They don't have domains.
court.
They
They're
got
courts, yeah.
they have courts, and they are very different things. The best.
Although lies being a fake court at one point would make a lot of sense considering how Fey deals work.
That is actually a good distinction, is that it could have been a court before with a different set of abilities and powers, because like a court is it's just a court. The people who are in the difference between Fey courts and domains, this I am going to say because I feel like you guys would understand this as players as well as people watching. The Fey courts are given power by the people in them. Like,
Right.
a court only has the power of the people who hold the power. Lady Luna's court, the court of the moth, is the strongest court because Lady Luna is not to be fucked with.
Right.
Like, domains themselves are power. Domains grant power to whoever owns them. So, like, that's the distinction. So, I just want to make that very clear because I feel like I understand it can be messy, especially with dreams. But yes.
Jacob is correct. This is great world building. You stepped your game up a lot from the
Really
first
did.
arc into the second and onwards.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I was like arc 1, I just wanted to get started, but I was like that's why I was constantly, I remember when I was like I'm so excited for Mad Max World. I'm so excited for Mad Max
Yeah, we all were.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
we were
dude,
just like, we had
absolutely.
the idea in our heads. We knew what was happening. Like,
Bro,
you'd explained.
World.
Bro, you gave me a Gundam. I could not have been happier with Mad Max. You gave me a Gundam and an armored core in one foul swoop. Like,
I did.
I think the funny thing is, this person's like, I think that the creativity here rivals popular fantasy world. The thing is, you actually understand proper world building. A lot of fantasy authors don't, and it's
That's
very
very,
frustrating. Because
very
I know
true.
that you do, because we've discussed it. Like, we've had a million conversations about world building and starting with like broader concepts and like building details in and that kind of thing. Like, a lot of people just kind of slap together stuff, and it doesn't feel cohesive.
It's definitely whenever this happens a lot in anime, I find. Anime, if the writer is not on their game, the world can just become a mess. It can become an absolute mess. I think this happened to me with My Hero Academia, because people had quirks, and then they were like roughly biological things, and they were trying to bring in like this scientific reasoning behind them, and then it just started getting to the point of like, this girl has the power to rewind time, and I'm like, that's magic.
That is
not
just
how-
magic.
It's
That's
like
not
that one episode
biological.
in Wizards of Waverly Place where they established that they had a spell to rewind time, and it was the plot for that episode, and then they never used it again, and you're like,
Don't never bring in time travel unless
Time
it's
travel is
in time
always
travel.
a bad idea.
You also did a really smart thing, which was you have created like a genre and a theme and idea for any given world that we go to, and then you've encompassed them all in a far more like generalized rule set. And you have like, so you don't have to flesh out an entire planet in extreme detail, because you get the idea and then we move on to the next place, and so it like builds this really cool, like intricate, broader universe as opposed to just a planet. And you can assume that there's detail in the rest of the planet, but we just don't need to know about that because we're just getting the vibes in this one place before we, who are experiencing the broader thing,
Move on.
conversely, like my game, mine's all same planet.
Your world is a richly detailed single entity.
Mine is, I can give you details on like independent locations across the map.
Right.
Yours is big thing, but it feels bigger.
Yeah,
because of that.
It's like I can't go and make every single planet in extremely excruciating detail. But
it feels like it is.
Yeah, what I can do is make a section with excruciating detail.
Yeah.
And if I make that portion really detailed, this is a world building tip for y'all who are making games as like in multiverses. Like, if you're doing in what I'm doing, which is a multiverse sort of situation, and people are world hopping a lot, build out where the conflict is happening. Who gives a fuck about the fishing hamlet in the north that the players will never visit? I'm being aggressive because this is my style of conversation on the internet. But no one's going to care about it because the players aren't going to see it, and it's not going to help your story. Unless something really important happened there, but then the players are probably going to go there. So they build out the area of the conflict. I have made the Badlands of the bandits and the government very detailed because I know that's where they're going to be. I made sure that's where they're going to be. And then when they went to the Feywild, it was very broad, but there was only like 2 to 3 locations of importance. and those places were detailed, and then they skipped over the shit that wasn't. Yeah, I made them do a check, but that wasn't important. And when they go into the Divine Contract, it's an infinite space. There's everything in there. They can just go to the worlds that they want to through there. I don't need to build out infinity. I need to build out what's important to the players. Right. So focus a lot on be very detailed with what's important. Understand what's important. Because like a lot of players will sometimes do things, DMs I hear complaining about stuff like, why didn't my players care about your plot, about this plot hook I made? Well, how detailed was it? Did you maybe build out too much detail elsewhere in the world? So they want to go and see the more detailed and interesting thing?
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
it's find the dramatic tension.
yeah. That's
But
a
also-
good catch-all for it.
No, I'm not going to go into that. If I start this conversation, I'm going to be
You
here
will.
forever.
Brooke is one of the best world builders I know.
agree.
Ask
I have to just go, wait a second. We don't want to
Pull
be
it
here
back.
for 5 hours.
Wait.
Yeah.
You're about to start a rant, but that's my advice for world building, especially in larger places, is don't, like, I focus a lot. This is what I do, and it works for me. And I also, in my head, I focus on ideas. I care a lot about ideas and communicating the feel of something. The feel of something is often more important than the actual thing itself. So that's my advice to you.
Yeah.
Unless you just like world building for funsies, in which case do what I do and build out everything in detail and just make little sections and be like, I want to run a story here, I want to run a story here, I want to run a story here. What if we went here? This would be so fun.
But guess what? Brooke also runs those worlds and does it where the action is happening. The world is detailed where people are. You know, it's not like...
And just because you're building out the world where the action is happening doesn't mean... Because I feel like there can be some misconceptions that automatically puts your plot on a railroad. It's like, it's not a railroad if you're building points of interest and that's where the party decides to go.
No,
That
yeah,
is
okay. So
you
the thing
just
about that
moving the
too
carrot.
is detailed world building means that you're better at improv. Because if you
yes.
have a really solid understanding of your setting, then when your players want to go to a new place, when they want to do a thing, when they are running away from you, you can improv in the moment because you already have an understanding of like the overall world. You already know this stuff. But a big element of that is if you have an overarching theme to the world that you're running in, and then you tie every little detail to that theme, you will find yourself having an easier time improving details and small details later on. So like with Mad Max World, we have an understanding of like this overall concept or whatever. If I want to go out into the desert and search, like you're going to have an easier time improving. Because Mad Max World is a very specific kind of thing. I need to try to make this comparison without referencing my setting because I don't know anything about my setting, but I have an easier time with concepts that I've worked on is the problem that I'm running into. But like the mycelium network, for example, if you operate under the understanding that every single thing is connected by this mycelium network, then as you are running around the Feywild and something happens and things look really terrifying, things are going badly, if suddenly the mycelium network that you learned about like 17 games ago is like sending messages and getting you help, that's where you can start pulling things in, like making those cool
Together,
connections and doing the thing because you've set it up in the world and you can and then when players are like, I want to go over here and do this thing, and then the mycelium network like notifies someone else and just is like, then you have better control over your world.
Yeah, there's like rules for the worlds is like a thing. Like if the party, like the reconstructors, and part of how I do things as well is I make rules for the cultures. When I make the unique cultures of the bandits, like the bandits are like, while they're all bandits so to say, each one has its own culture of what they think is the way of life for like what's good. You know, the blood bandits are self-sacrificing to the point of literally trying to die in battle. The reconstructors think that self-improvement is accomplished through mechanics and building. The musicians think that proficiency with a skill is how that's achieved. And because I know those rules of a thing, if the players want to then explore those areas more, they can do that, and I can invent new NPCs with this underlying understanding that this is what they believe the best way of life to be is, with small variations here and there. But like Brooke is saying, I can improv better because I have created these rules for myself.
I agree. And also on that, I think, sorry, I think that this is where your philosophy meets my philosophy, because you have such a strong acting background and you're always looking at character motivation, whereas I'm always looking at like the world building, the theming, like all of the little nitty-gritty details and things like the cultural iceberg, which is like a tool for world building. That the idea is that whenever you experience a culture or a place or whatever, you only see like the surface of the iceberg, but it's infinitely bigger underneath, and there's a bunch of topics that lie on the surface that you would see, a bunch of stuff that lies underneath that you probably wouldn't experience, and you can tie any given one of those details back to something like, and in your case it's like the theming of all of these people believe this thing fundamentally. So when you write a culture, when you write a society, you do this thing. But additionally, I think that what you're hinting at is very closely tied to something that traditionally, so like a lot of people have heard of Sanderson's laws of magic. So Brandon Sanderson, one of the most successful fantasy authors in the world, yada yada yada, has these 3 laws of magic, right? But the thing is, all of them can be applied to world building and should be applied to world building because they work for that as well. So things like the limitations of your magic system are more interesting than what it what it can do. So like what it can't do is more interesting than what it can do. Same as world building, like what can't be done is more interesting than what can be done. And so looking at the limitations, because it creates the juxtaposition between what can be done versus what can't be done. So therefore problem solving becomes more interesting and engaging because you're working within a rule set, and it's like making your characters and your audience and your players, in this case, active participants in the world building, because they're working with law and they're going, well, how do we work with the rules? Which is why I like your world building so much, because it just scratches my brain because it does this exact thing.
I got on top of that point as well. I think like I was gonna say something. I lost it.
I believe in you.
Huh?
I said I believe in you.
I'm gonna move on, and then if I get back to it, we'll talk about it.
Cool.
Zeke, I feel like Offbeat. Why did you choose the network to be mycelium? Is there a reason? Mycelium is a real thing. It is a network of fungus that interconnects any large forest or wooded biome. It's in the soil. Healthy soil will have this mycelium, and this, what we've discovered with it is that this fungus actually connects all of plants in a sort of network of chemicals and hormone responses. We know this because trees that are not even of the same biological group, much less connected, if a forest fire
communicate with each other,
they can communicate with each other. If a fire happens thousands of kilometers away, those trees will be alerted through the mycelium network. So it's a real thing, and I themed the Feywild with this very like mushroom fairy garden type of idea, and I was like, this is perfect. This is great. Is Theta's domain immune to the reset because it's part Feywild?
I had that exact same thought, I think, when we first I believe it was last session when we were introducing the fact that the mycelium network had moved into the Theta's domain. And I think we addressed it in that episode.
Yeah, we did. You guys talked about it, and we're like
tied to it, but it wasn't part of it.
Ever gonna have guest players? I'm planning on it, but we gotta finish Arc 2 first before I figure out what that looks like.
Yes.
I do have some players lined up who want a guest, and we're talking about themes for concepts or characters and stuff, but Arc 2 needs to finish before I can plan those guest arcs, the mini arcs.
I have a question on that front.
What's up?
Could we potentially bring it, because there was the reason that the original player that Danny, I'm not going to call them out by name, that Danny replaced, left the campaign was purely because of scheduling. No bad blood or anything.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If
Potentially.
if their schedule clears up, potentially, yeah. Would be more than down. Offbeat, other world builders. What makes a great DM? I'm starting and trying to figure things out.
Ooh.
That's a really big question, and it's such a complicated answer. So I'm gonna give you some tips. All right, I'm gonna give you some tips to figure out how to be a good DM, because here are some things that I wish I knew when I started DMing. First of all, keep the player's handbook with you. Keep it ready, and don't be afraid to reference it. I always recommend when learning the game, read the player's handbook first, and then start DMing, watch YouTube videos, but do read the book.
Did you just tell them to read the book? Don't read the book.
Brooke, your advice will come after mine. I suggest reading the book, because when you're in game, what can happen is that when you're DMing, all of a sudden you can think and go, wait, I think I saw this somewhere. Let me check the book. It can help you get more confident in those abilities. I do recommend it if you're starting. But what makes a great DM, as your question asks, as you're new and trying to figure things out and building things out, know what you're capable of. Don't try to go bigger than you can go. Make a small world, make a small story, build out from there. As you get better, consume more media, read more fantasy, understand more stuff, you'll start incorporating more. Maybe you like anime, you'll incorporate anime. But start small. I'm not saying don't be ambitious, but starting small helps you learn those skills that you don't have yet. You might be a good improver. That's what I was. I was a really, really good improver and actor. But there were some things about fantasy and writing that I needed to learn. And through conversations with Brooke and other friends and stuff, I eventually started building out, like, I should be doing this more. Here's something that I did that's not actually serving the story. Like, those are the tips. Brooke, how to be a good DM? Go, right now.
Prioritize the fun and safety of your players and yourself above all else.
Have fun.
Find a style that the table wants to play. Like, focus on table contribution. Like, the game and the rules will come. Like, you'll get there. Like, but focus on the parts that make it fun.
I usually just suggest the rules because I know it's a big anxiety for a lot of people. But
yeah, that's true. But I think most people start with a storytelling focused game as opposed to a rules focused game, and I think that's an easier introduction to D&D. And as you build up your knowledge of the game and pausing and stuff, like, getting comfortable just telling the story is the biggest first step. So being able to play in the game of somebody who's already there is helpful. Being able to, like, watch people run those games is really helpful. So watching things like Dimension 20 and stuff is really helpful. But, like,
or like us.
Oh yeah, well,
we also exist. Watch us.
I will say, bouncing off of that idea, as I think most of us are either former or current service workers, one of the phrases that I learned in the service industry that I think as a DM who's, like, just learning the rules, or who, like, doesn't have that full encyclopedic knowledge of the rules, cough, cough, offbeat, cough, cough, saying that you do have a full, like, encyclopedia.
Yeah, it sounded like you were saying the opposite, but
no. That's why I had to clarify. I was like, you do, and it's crazy, and I don't fully understand it. The best phrase to use as a DM, as a new DM, is whenever somebody asks you a question that you like about a rule that you're not familiar with, is, I don't know, but let me find out.
That's a good way.
Do not feel like you have to know everything.
Yeah,
your players will be patient with you, and if they're not, fuck them. Get different players.
Yeah, kill them. Maybe don't kill them, but you don't need to have them at your table. If they're gonna be dicks, don't tolerate it. My weakness as a DM is world building, so most of mine is just real world, and then dungeon portals or monsters start showing up. I think that something that you can.
That's a trope.
That's a
good trope.
It's a fun one. And the thing is that is world building. Now, if you want to build that out, where are the portals coming from? Why do the portals exist? Who made the monsters? Where are the monsters coming from? Look at that. You are world building. part of world building as well, the process of it is asking questions about your own world. Like,
If you want an easy checklist of stuff to consider, Google the cultural iceberg, because it just is literally a list of topics on like how would this, like these are the things that go into making up a society, a world or whatever. And then if you pick a bigger idea and just tie every single one of those things to that idea. For example, I have to reference my own setting for this because it's just an easy example to make. In my setting, if you are touched by spores released from the wild, you start getting infected, you turn into a plant eventually.
For some people.
Well, okay, Amelia.
Just watch the smile creep on Amelia's face.
I know.
It's great.
We've been there. So, one of the punishment, if you look at like a criminal justice system, the punishment for traitors and spies in the capital city is they're strung up in these cages and exposed to the blooming, which is the spores, and then slowly transformed into plants. And that's like big idea of world, smaller element tied to big idea of world. And then you can go even more niche and be like, one of the people in this prison has never transformed into a plant. Like they're still a person and they're up there. And then there's like the Gardeners Guild that's taking care of it or whatever. And it's like, but people walk through and like the rich people like enjoy it. So you can tie any given thing to this overarching concept and tell a story through the world building.
Like, it can be as simple as starting with something that you're just like, I think this is cool. Why does this exist? And then continually asking questions. That is how I made the Blood Bandits. Legitimately. I think the idea of bandits who worship a blood god, who try to spill as much of their own blood as possible, is cool. Why do they do this? I needed to answer, why do they want to die? Why do they want to fight things? And then eventually I built out a whole culture of reincarnation, of legit reincarnation, of elders, of people to teach them things and to make better blood bandits. Like,
yeah, why do they want to die? And if that is their goal, how are they still around?
yeah, like, I think that it's like, because like, oh, well, that world, like, logically, there wouldn't be many people left. Or if there are people, so if there are a lot of people, they gotta be amazing recruiters, fucking all the time, or they gotta be awesome at killing things. And the answer is yes to everything. Additionally, it's like, how do we avoid losing information? Like, any society that was built like this previously, like, died because there was skill drain and there wasn't anybody to teach people the next generation information. And I was like, cool. The elders exist now. That's who they're reincarnating. Boom.
Amelia just found the infamous Rubik's Cube.
The
Rubik's Cube? Is it an unsolvable Rubik's Cube?
No, it's
a
not.
perfectly solvable Rubik's Cube, actually.
Can I tell the story?
Yeah.
Okay, so my mom learned to solve Rubik's Cubes and she got really into it. And I was like, oh, I've always wanted to learn how to solve Rubik's Cubes. I'm going to look up the instructions. So I borrowed one of her Rubik's Cubes and I looked it up. And one day I was just sitting in a Discord group chat and I was like going through the process of reading, like, this is what you go, the goal, this is how you do it. Like, I'm trying to learn how to solve the Rubik's Cube. And I get to a point where I'm getting a little bit confused and I'm getting stuck and I'm like, oh, I'm not really understanding how to do this thing, right? And so Amelia is like, send me pictures of this Rubik's Cube. Make sure you get all of the faces and that kind of thing. So I send them a bunch of pictures of the Rubik's Cube. 20 minutes later, they have their own Rubik's Cube solved correctly to perfectly match this one. And then they keep going, we need to sit down and I'll teach you how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And I'm like, that is batshit insane. How the fuck did you make it match this one from the opposite?
Fuck?
From the opposite side of the world.
Matt says solve it right now.
Matt
Dankle's in chat.
Here's the thing. No. Here's the thing. Because this was months, maybe a year ago, maybe. It's been so long. So I have this Rubik's Cube. It's on my desk. I'm not resolving it again. So I have this Rubik's Cube that is unsolved. And I know how to solve a Rubik's Cube. I can solve that Rubik's Cube in 2 minutes. Easy. But I can't do it. So now it sits behind my computer tower because looking at it makes me upset because it's unsolved. And so many times I'm like, Brooke, can we solve the Rubik's Cube? She's like, I don't want to right now.
Wait, do it in the British accent. Do it in a British accent. I don't want to right now.
I want to right now.
No.
I don't want to.
I don't want to right now.
Can I just solve it?
Amelia.
Can you solve
Amelia.
Amelia. Patrick.
Everyone.
Patrick.
So we aren't gonna
the
solve it.
Off
I'm-
the outlaw.
I'm sorry, Matt. Unfortunately, Brooke has a thing against solving puzzles.
It's now so funny to me that I won't let this be solved.
Amelia, you should solve your own Rubik's Cube. Out of spite.
I thought I just saw you shaking in anger for a moment. Right
No, I'm
there,
just shaking my
Amelia.
leg.
Just like, God damn it, I hate this.
It honestly took so long that I actually solved the Rubik's Cube wrong twice, because I solved my regular Rubik's Cube and I have like several of them and one of them kind of sucks. And once it became clear to me that like this was going to go a long time without being solved, I then solved my shitty Rubik's Cube to match the style of the wrong Rubik's Cube, so that way I could use my good Rubik's Cube for my classic Rubik's hijinks.
Very good. How do I implement
Wait, so
the
you
ex-
did it twice?
Yeah, well, it's easier when you have one right next to it. The hardest part wasn't actually solving it wrong. It was trying to take a two-dimensional image of a cube and extrapolate it into 3D space to see where things are supposed to go.
How do I implement the Executioner's Great Axe into the game from the Great Fireball? You don't. That is a meme item that I made for a series of comedy skits
Why do you hate
that's purpose was to do whatever the fuck I wanted. Trust me, if you incorporate, unless you want to make your whole campaign that,
For fireball.
you don't incorporate it. It takes over your campaign. Also, it will. I have every time I get asked about it, I put off the release of the item on my Patreon. I have so far.
Don't
It
do
is.
that.
It is set to release in January. It has been 3 years.
I respect that.
So don't ask when it's coming, or it will get put off even longer.
When's it coming? When's it coming? When's it coming? When's it coming?
Brooke, you don't count.
Well, that's 9 years.
But that
I love
is
that.
all the time we have had for this session. So thank you all so much for joining us in this recap episode, as well as this sort of Q&A session. It was a lot. I had a great time. And also, our party came to a realization that was hilarious to me. It was a good time. So thank you all so much for watching. Please come back next week where we'll get back onto the main story. I want to ask so bad for the meme. King Creepsta, you are part of the list of people that don't count anymore. This is why I'm not nice to my chat, Brooke. Look at them. They hate everybody, including
I
themselves.
support it. I supported it. Keep going, King Creepster.
Keep your head tall, King. But I am Offbeat Outlaw. If you are watching us for the first time, if your friend has convinced you to watch our series, please join us every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern in order to watch the show. We stream for 3 hours. It's a great D&D game. It's very big and large. It's wild. It's wacky tobacky. And if you like the show a lot, please support me on Patreon. It is by and far the best way to support the channel. And you know, if you want to see more of this content, you better support me, baby. And I've also decided that I'm going to do a stream on Twitch in a maid outfit at 1,000 Patreon subscribers. So get to it, kings.
We love to see it.
We love to see
I
it.
don't know if I want to encourage
gonna borrow
that or
Danny's?
not, because
Get
that
your own.
I don't think Danny's would fit me. I think Danny
Oh,
is
fair.
a little bit shorter than me, and I think he's got
Yeah.
bigger shoulders than me.
Oh, okay.
Danny's a bit more broad-shouldered than you are. Because I would know this because I have fitted you both for clothing.
Yeah, Danny's got some broad shoulders.
I love that.
A big boy.
Yeah, because Danny's a 41 and you're a 39.
I'm not a
Weirdly
39.
enough.
I'm also a 40.
Are you also 41?
Yeah. Maybe it just looks like it because he's a little bit shorter than me.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah, proportionally, he's got broader shoulders.
Right.
But I am Offbeat Outlaw. He, they pronouns. Pat.
Hi, I am Patrick Keefe, also known as That Great Gentleman, everywhere on the internet. Come find me.
Brooke.
I am Brooklyn Tuesday. Don't come find me.
Amelia.
Amelia Som, links.ameliasom.com. Find me or not, I guess. We'll find out.
We need a scream for Danny. Shall we count down?
Danny is streaming right now, I think, actually.
No, scream.
I know,
Scream.
but I'm trying to see. I wish there was a way I could send you to him right now. Here's a scream for Danny.
I thought we were
Ah!
going to do it at once, but
You want to do it all at once? You want to do it all at once?
Yeah, I was, I thought it was going to be a group effort.
We
But
can do it as a group effort then. Like, okay, we can do it. 3, everyone.
Wait,
bye-bye.
wait,
On one or after one?
Wait,
On
wait,
one or
everybody
after one?
pull up time.is.
Time.is? What is
Yes,
this?
pull up time.is.
Time.your mom.
Yes, because this way we will all be synced.
Hold on.
Oh, time.is?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how we do time sync when we're recording Unprepared Casters.
That is also how we do time sync when we're recording on Writer's Room.
Okay.
Your clock is 0.9 seconds behind. How do I do this?
Don't worry about
that
it.
doesn't. Yeah, that's
Mine
really
is
fine.
0.2
Don't worry
seconds
about it.
behind.
So at, let's say, I don't know, Amelia, 11:04, we all scream.
Yeah.
All right, 11:04. Ready? Ah! There we go.
I got very confused because I
Oh.
thought they meant that. Yeah, I got confused. I
Oh,
thought
I'm
they
so
meant
sorry.
the 4 second mark.
I just
Were
didn't
you
feel like
not going to
screaming.
scream?
No, I wasn't gonna scream.
I'm just dumb.
Let's do it all at the same time. Doesn't. Anyway,
I'm just dumb.
you're not
Brooklyn,
dumb.
scream. Do it now. I
Scream.
dare you.
Ah!
There you go.